Sorry, Kingsley, I was enjoying the music. I was,
The
I was,
music is cool. I swear
I
to
was
God.
rocking, was
The
rocking with the
last time I
music,
heard
man.
it, I thought I was going to record. It's awesome. Honestly, it's just
I'm
cool.
rocking with the. I'm rock. I thought I just rock with the
Yeah,
music,
you
man.
can just put it back on and then you play it somehow and then just pass it around.
I
How
don't
good
even
is
know,
how's your day?
man. Been a quiet day. It's Friday.
It's Friday. I didn't
Yeah, it's
even
a
get
Friday,
to
man.
work today.
Work was
Just
kind of slow. Work didn't have much to do this today.
today.
Did all. Make sure I knocked everything out from Monday to Wednesday to Thursday. My busiest day of the week, work wise, Monday to Wednesday.
Once it's Wednesday. Okay, okay.
And then Thursday, I kind of like
It's kind of
just
slowed down.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just started to type some paperwork, and
It's
so that's pretty much it. What's up, Boris? That's pretty much it, man. So
ah,
I just, my barber came back from Jamaica, so I thought, yep, I
ah,
need to get
yeah.
a haircut, man. It's been a month.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's
yeah,
okay. Well, a month is not long. I
what do you
haven't
mean
had
a
a
month is
haircut
not long?
since November, kind of. So that's quite
What?
a while.
You haven't had a haircut since November?
No, November. Yeah, I haven't
Man,
had
you
it.
should be locked up in prison, man. Hell, you
I
mean
haven't.
you haven't had a haircut since November? You should be in prison, dude.
That's a very impressive. I haven't had a haircut, but
Nah, dude, I can't go a whole entire month. The longest I've ever been without a haircut was during the pandemic.
oh yeah,
And
okay,
even then,
yeah, that was.
I did find a way to sneak to my barbers to get at least some sort of, you know what I mean,
Like
tidy
home,
up,
yeah, kind of
make it
home
look a bit.
service thing. You just lock
Dude,
yourself in, yeah, basically.
that man's been gone a whole entire month, man. You know, barbers shouldn't barbers shouldn't be allowed to go on holidays for that long.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you know, barbers are the
they're
best
essential,
therapists.
essential workers. They could just
Barbers are
add the
therapists in it. You know that they're not just
yeah,
barbers; they're
mm.
literal therapists.
They're
Because
therapists.
if your barber don't know everything about you, or don't know your girlfriend, your mom, your brother, your sister, or something about
It's not your
what
brother.
kind
Yeah,
of that's not your barber.
yeah, that's true.
That's a traitor.
True. Yeah, and it's those some of the gossip in town. They happen there too. So you
Man,
kind of
there's
sit
no
down.
one more.
They know what's happening in town,
No
basically.
one gossips more than a barber.
Oh
Trust me.
God!
Because
In between
like
cutting hairs, you are
like I
kind of
said,
hear a lot of
barber
things.
knows everybody's business. You know what I mean?
Everybody's
If you want to know,
business.
if you heard something went down and you want to know, you just go to the barber shop and
Just
say,
gonna,
"Yo,
just
what
gonna
did
remember.
what I heard
I'll sit
X
down. Oh
happening?" And he'd be
yeah,
like,
like
"Yeah," and he can give you the story from start to finish.
to finish. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it.
If your
That's it.
barber can't do that, find a different
They find
barber.
a new one. Yeah,
He's
they're
not
gonna
a
find a new
trustworthy
one.
barber.
That's
Yeah, but so I just thought it's been back now after a month. Let me
yeah.
get my hair cut.
The video of Mercedes uh, on track. It's
Yeah,
just why is it costing the okay?
it's my fault. It's actually
What is
my
it
fault
costing?
because
I granted that the video cuts off from the part where that's just I don't think there is a speed at which you're driving in a wet Silverstone track that if the car starts purposing at that wet track speed, then it's going to be worse than the W13, for example. But I don't think that was purposing. I think that
nah,
was
dude, it
just
wasn't
normal bouncing
purposely.
on the track that is hasn't been used for a while and all that stuff, and
And if you look at
everybody
it, if you
just
look at the
jumping on
video,
it.
that's if you look at the video, that's when he exits the pit. And if you remember, if you know Silverstone layout
Hmm.
is once you exit the pit, you're basically missing out turns one and turn two. So you're going down to turn three, I think it is.
Before
Turn
you come
three.
out, so you're basically yeah from the. Mhm, mhm.
You got that exit takes you down to turn three, where then the next left turn takes you onto the Wellington Street, and that's a bumpy run down into turn
It's
three.
obvious it was a bumpy place. I don't know why
Look,
everybody's flying
the
around
thing
with
is,
two
the thing
things.
is, the thing is because of the whole porpoising thing. Any sign of movement, if the driver head bobbles up and down, everyone's gonna be,
Hmm.
oh, look,
Yeah,
it's porpoising. Like,
yeah,
dude, chill out.
that's true.
The track is a bumpy racetrack, but I think it's my fault though because I was the person who quote tweeted. I went, look, it's porpoising.
Yeah, but I could tell you I've been sarcastic about it, but I don't know how everyone would take it that seriously. It wasn't. The moment I saw the video, I wasn't sure that was purpose. I just knew
That's not
it was
porpoising.
a
That's just
bumpy part of the track that,
Silverstone is not as smooth as people think it is. It's a bump. It's still a
yeah,
bumpy track,
the
and
bump.
they're running, and the suspension they run is not like it's the those sophisticated ones.
No, no,
Remember,
no,
they've
no.
gone back
Yeah,
to the
it's
more
just, yeah, that can
archaic
absorb
sort
the
of system.
dampiness. Yeah.
So, but people are gonna look. Come next week when the testing starts, I pray to God there's no porpoising, because I guarantee you, if there's any sign of porpoising, I actually tweeted it. Any sign of anything that people construe to be porpoising,
But the
Twitter is not
purpose,
going to be a nice place.
the purpose is I don't know why people. Okay, for example, Ferrari was purposing last year,
Hmm.
and they were still running some, apart from their reliability issue, they were still running some brilliant speed, even with purposing. It's not that bad. I think Mercedes, the reason why Mercedes was bad was even in slow speed corners, they were still having purposing in a way that affected the dynamics of the car. Other than that,
Hmm.
really, if you can manage it to a level where it's not dangerous to the driver, I don't see what's wrong with that.
I mean, even the Red Bull was
Red Bull were
porpoising, but
purposing
the
at some
problem,
point. Yes,
the,
yes.
the situation with Red Bull was it wasn't as severe, and
As it were, exactly, as the rest of
it's it it
the
hit it affected them at a higher speed, but to a lesser extent. Whereby in the
Mhm.
Mercedes case, it's triggered even at relatively low
Lower
speed,
speed, yes, and
and
so just
the
more
more they
comes
go
out
up in
from them.
speed,
Yeah,
the more
mhm.
the more the frequency resonates. It
Increases.
gets a
Yeah.
higher
Mhm.
frequency, and that creates more, the majority of the problem. But look, we kind of knew this was going to happen. And that's why I said, come next week when the testing starts, I'm going to be like, yo, I don't think I want to be on here, because I know what's going to happen. The first sign of anything that says up, jack in the box sort of bobblehead doll with the
I would be
drivers,
surprised if at very high speed that Mercedes doesn't purpose. I would be very surprised.
it does.
It's going to purpose. That's a
But the thing is,
given because
but the
unless
thing is,
they make
but
a
the thing is,
completely
Kingsley, last year,
dynamic
some
suspension, there's no way that
yeah,
machine will not
but
purpose at
Kingsley,
high speed.
last year in some races, it didn't porpoise at very high speed. So again, it's not a given that's going to happen. Look, I don't think.
Okay, maybe I would preface it that it maybe not in all tracks, but
Mhm.
certain tracks you're going to see it. I think the races where they didn't purpose last year, they had to raise the ride height, compromise the
They
setup.
got that, but they had to raise the ride height everywhere the whole entire year. They
Yeah, but
had to
some
do that
places
because
where
they couldn't do it. That's the only way they could get the car to run. If they were stubborn and kept it at the ride height that it was designed to run at, they wouldn't
yeah,
finish any races.
no, they will break the car to pieces. The
They
car will break.
literally wouldn't finish. So they had to
Yeah,
basically raise the ride height and work around that. And if you read all of the analysis and you listen to Mike Elliott, he said by doing that, that created more drag than than they actually thought they would have.
yeah,
Because again, the car was designed to run at a specific height,
yes.
but they didn't envision that porpoising would
The
actually
purpose
be
was
an
going to
issue.
come.
So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and there was an article, was it yesterday? I think it was. I tweeted it. I can't remember when it was written, where they basically said, had the porpoising not been an issue, the numbers that basically Ferrari and Red Bull would have been actually fighting over crumbs. They wouldn't have been nowhere, because the numbers that Mercedes were getting from their data exceeded anything else from the other two teams. So it's
Uh,
unfortunate, you know.
oh, to read that article, I didn't
It's
see it. Yeah.
huh?
I said I would love to read that article. I didn't see it.
Oh, let me. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna tag it, pin it
Yeah.
in here, because I actually tweeted it yesterday with a screenshot. So I'm just gonna see if I can find it and put it in here so you can actually see it.
Mm.
Okay, okay, here it is. I think I found it.
Oh,
Yeah, let me put it inside the space so people can read it. And I also put the screenshot of the part that I was talking about as well. Yeah, so I put it in. So, but we do know come next weekend, everyone's going to be looking out for two things: is the Mercedes slow in a straight line, and is it
mhm.
porpoising? That's the two things that they're going to be looking for. And if any of those two things appear, Twitch is not going to be a nice business. I'm going to feel sorry for the Mercedes admin because they're going to have a go at them. Absolutely, they're
Okay.
going to rip them apart.
But
They
I,
and in
I,
some ways,
it's going to
go on.
be. I'm trying to imagine where are you going to get that speed? Okay, just this. Basically, if you're coming out of the last corner towards the long straight from the big
Where,
start in Bahrain, that's where I'm trying to see where you can get that level of speed to get the car into a realm of that proportion that you're going to see
yeah,
on
but
it.
last year they were getting it just but as the moment they within probably like I don't know 100
Yeah,
meters after
but you know,
exiting the final
we
corner,
don't
they
talk
were
about the
4%.
13 anymore. It's dead and buried. I would, if Mercedes had purposing in this car this year, I would not be surprised, but I don't think it will affect their overall pace because they've been able to factor that into the design of this new car. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Because
I don't think, and
other
you have to
cars were
remember,
purposing and they were still fast. I
and
don't
you
know
have to
what has
remember,
happened to them.
most of the 4% isn't just so much about. It also has to do with suspension.
Suspensions, yeah?
And remember last year they couldn't just go ahead and change the suspension because again, you're in a cost cap
The
area, so
cost cap,
you have
yeah.
to be
Mhm,
mindful.
mhm.
So this year that at the launch they mentioned that they've gone for all new suspension system. So they've actually factored that in along with the
Exactly,
fact that
yeah.
they've now got they have a whole entire season worth of data in which to work with to develop what they have now. So I'm not. Are they going to port? Yeah, they probably will, but
The proper
to what
way,
extent?
yes, which is not for me. I don't
Because you
think it's
cannot you
completely
cannot
happening.
100% eliminate it. It's near
Exactly. With
impossible to
this,
do. I think the only way you could have actually completely eliminated 4% is if they hadn't changed, removed all of the hydraulic dampers and so on that they had in the
yeah,
suspension, like
yeah.
from 20 up to 2021.
Yeah, if they put back active suspension system, you can just wipe out purpose of
Yeah,
most of the cars
yeah,
because
but
they can
exactly,
absorb all of that. Yeah,
and that's one of the arguments Anthony Davidson was making last year. Was like, if you're going to go for ground defects, why not just let them bring back active suspension?
exactly.
That would have solved the problem easily and make the system make it more a standard, what do you call it, a
Sorry.
standardized system,
Yeah.
similar to how you have the McLaren, they have the standardized ECU, making
Mm-hmm.
a standardized system, and it's not
System so
just
that
team.
everyone across the grid is using the same active system, so you
Exact,
don't have to. Yeah, that's
exactly. So someone doesn't have to go out and spend millions developing the more sophisticated one.
the one. Yeah.
Similar, because in some ways the active suspension would have been similar to Frick. You remember Frick?
No.
Front rear inter some other connecting suspension system, where basically it's a hydraulic system that connects all four corners of the car. So what it does is it keeps the car stable going
Ah.
through corners. So it's basically it we always keeps the car stable going through corners. And they banned it. I think it was in 2015. They basically said, you know what, the system is getting too sophisticated. Mercedes were investing a lot of money in it because they were
Okay.
rumored to have the most sophisticated one of the lot. And therefore, I went, no, we're going to get rid of it because
It's giving
it's
them too
too
much
much.
advantage.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's gone. It's not only that, and people are going to start throwing a lot of money towards it,
And
and
then
it's
in
going
the
to
area
create
of
some.
cost cap, you're going to
It,
be spending a lot of money
exactly.
on that.
So
Yeah.
so that and it was they even said the frick was one of the reasons why Mercedes were fast, and they said okay then cool ban it. They banned it, but it
And
wasn't something
they
that they
were still
needed to
fast.
change.
Yeah.
They just basically um, locked off the hydraulic system of it, and they were still quick. So they kind of like, yeah, okay, what next are you going to throw at
What
us?
next? Yeah, you get them.
So,
Oh God.
so I think many people have said that they should have, if you're going to go to such a system as New Era, as ground
Yeah,
effects,
at least give them
and
the
you
tool to ameliorate some of these things
exactly,
because yeah, it
and you've
was
gone with these archaic, you've gone back to like, what is it? You've probably gone back to oh god, what year suspension have they gone back to? Probably like
1984 or something.
probably the early 2000s.
Yeah, late.
Not even the early 2000s, because prior to the early 2000s, remember the Williams active suspension was in what? Was it 89 or 88? I can't remember what year it was. The F was it the FW1B? So they had active suspension from back in the 80s. So you're talking about they probably did go back to the 70s.
The
So
services
suspension,
to get a wooden suspension system with spring
yeah.
and not it's
So
key.
it was kind of a oversight from the FIA
I don't
in that.
I don't want to think it's an oversight. I think they knew what an active suspension would do for
Mhm.
granny fed cars, so they deliberately just removed it.
Yeah, but what would they have done?
Yeah, because if you have allowed, for example, active suspension to come into play, it means people will be able to run that car as low as they want, so, and then the car doesn't pop up because the active system will just take care of it. So,
Yeah, but then is that a bad thing? I mean, because you've induced porpoising has basically put drivers at risk.
mhm, yeah,
You know what I mean? So which so which would be better? And again, it would have probably been cheaper.
it would have been, but a team like Red Bull wouldn't want it, for example, because they
Why
were
would they
not
not?
feeling it that badly. So therefore, they can actually
No,
just
but I
iron that.
mean, it's not a matter of what Red Bull wants, is it?
In a way, because I still believe that the entire changes to the car, the generation of car was to get Mercedes off the peg, just slow them down whatever way you can, and then if active suspension was going to be of help to them, why not just eliminate it
Yeah,
completely and then
but the thing is, who would have known if it would have been helpful to them? Nobody knows. At the end of the day, in some ways it's all a guess. But it
yeah,
was kind of a it's kind of a I think it was a dumb move not to consider it. Removing it altogether, removing what they've been using altogether, just seems a bit like, come on, man. Just
yeah,
leave, you could have left something on the table
on the
that they're
table,
actually
yeah,
familiar with.
yes,
But anyway, that's that. This is what we have now. So
is what we have.
yeah, so right now it's a matter of let's see what Mercedes can do this next week. I pray for their own safety,
No,
because
no, sorry. For their own
for
safety.
their
For their own
I think for
safety.
their own safety they
On,
need to
on,
they have to produce something good, because
yeah.
but Team LH is like the beehive, the Beyonce
Yeah, they behind.
beehives.
They come at
They
you
did. Yeah,
with
they come when they
everything.
come, and they
Yeah,
come.
they come.
They're not there to be
I,
nice. They're gonna be frustrated, and I think we can understand the frustration,
the
because
frustration. Oh yes.
I
Oh yeah.
think, I, the funny thing is, I think majority of the frustration last year wasn't even so much about the car
No,
being
it was
shit.
in 2021.
Exactly,
Yeah, it was the build up
because
from 2021. Yes, it's not
yeah,
even
because I
that. That's it.
think we expected that coming to 2022. You know, it's again 2022 was billed as the comeback.
Mm-hmm. After the
Lewis is coming
robbery of
back
2021.
exactly,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then to see,
The car doesn't even
and then
live
to
up
see
to
Lewis get
pieces.
lapped by Max in
Mass
Imola,
lapped
and that
Lewis. I can never forget.
that's
I
the only
can
time that's ever happened.
ever happened. Just lapped Lewis. Oh God, that
That's the
was that
only
was,
time that has
that
ever
was the
happened.
highlight of Mercedes year. It was crazy, man.
That was the worst. I think that was the lowest point of
It
the
was the
year.
lowest
Actually,
point. Yeah, it was the lowest
that
point.
was the absolute lowest
And
point of the year.
granted that the Red Bull that day was super quick, like it was fast. I think it was in Spa or something. Was it Spa? Yeah, I think it was
But
Spa. Where the
uh
over, yeah, the guy
yeah,
he was
Spa was an anomaly.
anomaly. Yeah, he was an anomaly. So
It
the
was an
Red Bull was
anomaly.
really
That's for
fast,
sure.
but then again, it was crazy.
Yeah. So
If 2021 didn't happen, Mercedes could come dead, and
last, I wouldn't.
last year
No one
nobody
would
will
have
care about
cared.
it, and then everybody just move on.
No one would have cared, because
Yeah,
everyone would have been like, "Yep, we got that eighth
yeah, we
title.
got the
We're
eight.
sitting.
So
We're now alone, sitting at the top of the
yeah, we
totem
owns
pole.
the
No one
record
can. You know what I
now.
mean?
Hmm.
This is ours."
Yeah,
But then for that to happen, and I think yes, I think that's where a lot of the frustration
yeah, the resentment came.
came from,
Yeah,
more than anything, so
yeah.
much as it being a actually just
Red Bull
shit car.
dominated. Yeah.
But I think these guys aren't stupid. You don't win championships over multiple regulation changes. Because remember, they're the first and only team to have ever won um,
Championship in a
after
major change in regulations. Yeah.
yeah. actually, no, Red Bull won't factor in that because they're the one that they didn't want the constructors. So they don't, and they did it in what? They did it in 2016,
17,
17,
19.
19,
Yeah,
and 19. So
yeah.
these guys aren't stupid. They screwed up last year, and the thing I like with Mercedes as a team, they don't they don't shy away from
No, they
saying,
don't
you know what,
hide. They don't
we
hide at
actually
all. They come
exactly they
out
don't
and
hide.
just, they don't hide. No, not at all. They come out and
They
they just
who
say, yeah.
yeah, they own it, and they're like,
They
yeah,
own it, yeah.
we fucked up, and and you've heard Toto saying that car is a bag of shit.
It's,
You've never heard Toto
I
go
remember
that
he was
hard.
telling Lewis in one of the races, "You
Yeah,
deserve a car better than this. Like
yeah, that's exactly
this is
this.
horror.
This is not acceptable.
It's not
So
acceptable. Yeah,
these guys aren't fool idiots. They're not stupid. They're some of the smartest people in the world. They
of
made
course.
a
Yeah,
mistake,
yeah,
and and again, one of the things I like about them, they don't panic. They
yeah.
they,
It's
they do things diligently.
it comes from the top one, and then when you have a driver like Lewis, you can
Exactly.
be rest assured that okay, these are going to work. These are going to work out well, because I would imagine if that was Ferrari, for example.
Oh, someone would have gotten fired already.
Oh yeah,
Someone would have gotten fired.
somebody's
Someone
going
would
to do
have
this.
gotten fired.
Yes, somebody's going to go. Yeah.
So you see their approach is they rather than saying, okay, let's just lose our head and panic station. Let sit back, step back, look
Yeah,
at the problem, analyze, and let's come up with a recovery plan. And what we've seen from Mercedes since 2014 is when it comes to development, you very
you
rare
cannot develop them if they want to develop
exactly,
cars.
and
Yeah,
you very rarely ever see them get to a
bring
point where they bring something to a car that
and it
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work. Yeah, it
It,
doesn't work.
I mean, look at Silverstone last year, right? The upgrade they
Yeah,
brought to Silverstone last year, they literally said we didn't test
we didn't
anything.
test it. Yeah, I already
We
said
just
that they didn't
they
even
just
test
came
it.
up with the
And this thing
idea,
came out
did all the CAD
blazing.
data, and just they didn't wind tunnel test it. They didn't do anything, and they just built
Mhm.
it, stuck it onto the car, and it worked.
And it worked
So now you're giving them a full entire season of
to
data
develop
set
the
to
car.
work
Wow,
towards for this year. I expect them to be better. How much better? That's the question. That's
that's
the
the question.
unknown.
Yeah, it's a big
How
unknown.
close are they going to be to Red Bull? Are they going to be half a? Because what was it in Bahrain last year? Was it almost a second, 8 tenths?
Yeah, almost a
The
second. It's 8 tenths of a second.
okay. So are
Yeah,
they going to be if the are they going to be half a second off?
I
Or are they
can
going
live
to
with
be
half. I can actually live with half a second.
no? I can't live with half a second. That's still
Oh,
too
I can
big.
live with half a
No,
second.
that's still too big for me. Half a second is still too big a margin. You
Uh,
don't you
what was the
to look
what was the gap in Bahrain in 2021?
one. It was half a second.
Exactly. It was half a
Yeah, but
second.
yeah, but then that's a different car, Kingsley.
Yeah, but this is a different car too. I think they have the data on it. It was half a second, I remember. And
Yeah,
then by the
but the
next race,
thing is,
Mercedes was just blowing Red Bull left, right, and
the thing
center.
is, here's the thing. Why I don't think it would be. Why I wouldn't accept half a second if you're going to
Mm.
compare it to 2021 is that the 2021 cars was an evolution of the previous year, which is already a good car. All they did was they just
Chop,
chopped a piece of
chop
the
some
floor
parts
off.
off. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that was pretty much so. Mercedes had basically they already have had all that data that they can work
Yeah,
with.
and
So it
I
was
get
so
what
it's
you're
an
saying.
easier thing to to
The
to,
last year car
to
was not a
develop.
good car, therefore you can actually use that to judge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I half a second for me would be too big. Uh, I'd be willing to accept at least 3 tenths. If you're within 3 tenths in Bahrain, then that's something that you can recover
But
because
honestly,
then that tells them that
mm,
then that would tell Mercedes that
you're
okay,
in the right
the work
direction.
we did over the
Mm.
summer, over the winter to get to where we are now, that means we're on the right path, and
I think,
then they can
yeah.
carry on build on that.
For me, I'm looking at the race sector, the race space of the car last year, race wise, wasn't that bad.
No,
That
it
car
wasn't.
was actually better in race stream than in single lap qualifying, for example. So,
Hmm.
the race sector for this car this year, that's where I am going to focus on. Even if we're Mercedes down, say half it, 5 tenths of down on Red Bull, for example, I would be looking at what's the race deficit. If it is same number, that is worrying. But But if it's closer than that, then I know, okay, we can probably develop from there going
Yeah,
forward.
because didn't Lewis in the they when they did launch, I read somewhere he said one of the things he would definitely like for them to still retain from the W13 was the race pace, because in
Oh,
the race
okay.
they were very strong.
They were very
They
strong.
were
Yeah.
they were strong
Yeah.
in relative to everybody else.
Everybody, yes. Yeah.
So, but going back to my point where I said I'd rather have I'd ideally want to see around 3 tenths. Ideally, I wouldn't want to see nothing. I don't
Nothing
want to
at
see a
all.
gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually,
Exactly.
ideally, I'd want to see them. I want to see
Ideally,
them
I would
half
be
a second
one
ahead of
second up on
everybody else.
everyone. Yeah.
Exactly. But if we can't get that, the next best thing is just to be close.
A few
To
tenths. Yeah.
be close. Don't I don't want half a second. It's too big a margin. You give
Yeah.
if you give Red Bull half a second. Even remember when Mercedes had half a second on everybody, they didn't have to work. It was pretty much it would take you a
Yeah.
full season to
To
club up
catch up.
half a
Yeah.
second.
To catch up. Yeah. That's true.
But the thing, you know, but what I do like with them, they've demonstrated that they can actually develop a car over a year, because to see where they were coming from. Because remember, they
Ah,
started the season thinking, okay, this is our
we
timeline
were
with
not called.
Mercedes
We were
last year.
getting knocked out from Q3,
But
Q1,
exactly, so
Q1.
our
We are getting out
timeline
of
with
God.
Mercedes last
God.
year was, oh God, please make it out of Q3. Okay,
Yes.
and then we move from Q3 to like, oh, we made it into Q2. At least one year make it into Q1 to know to by the time we got to the summer break, it was pretty much guaranteed
We are
that
going to
they're
be on
going
the
to make it out.
podium. At least
Exactly, are they
podium.
going to make? They're going to be in Q1. So it shows you the progress that they've made over the whole entire season. That they literally the gap, because at the time the gap to the fourth best team at the time, I believe it was Alfa Romeo, wasn't that great. They were Alfa Romeo
Oh
were
yes,
closer to
there were
Mercedes
games.
than
There were
Mercedes
races
was
where they were
to
Alfa Romeo were
Ferrari.
very close. Yes, yes,
And
yes.
by
That's
the end of the year, they literally dropped every single team
everybody. Yeah,
behind them, dropped them
everybody.
in every single metric
The only team that
possible, and
actually
they
didn't
closed the
drop
gap.
was Red Bull. Even Ferrari, they dropped Ferrari completely. Ferrari just went poof, backward at some point. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah,
So,
but Ferrari fans are going to tell you that's because they had to turn on the PU. But okay,
okay.
that still don't swing for me. For me, that it's not just because you turn on a PU, you suddenly forget. You know, I don't buy it. So, but going back to what I said, they've shown that they can actually develop a car in season.
Yes, of course.
So if so if
And
we so if
what
we
scares Red Bull because they know Ferrari can do that most of the times. Ferrari just get lost in the middle of the season, for example. So
Ferrari is just
they,
Ferrari, dude.
yeah, you always say that. So Red Bull, what is scared about for Red Bull is the in-season development of the car, and more often than not, those development actually bring lifetime
Performance.
gain to the car, and that's really scary for them at the end of the day. That's it.
And so, because even last year there was some, I don't remember where I read it, that apparently Red Bull realized said with their data they did in regards to the W13, and like, there's that platform is actually a good platform. There's performance
This
in it.
performance,
So
yeah.
it's a question of,
Can you
in some
copy
ways
it?
they sounded like they were concerned that if Mercedes were to unlock that performance, they'd be left behind, which
Yeah.
basically the article that I just tweeted
You
today
can, yeah.
kind of points to. But again,
Can you
sometimes
make it
when
work?
you're seeing a wind tunnel to real life data, it doesn't always materialize. And I think this
Yeah,
is
the
the first
correlation
time.
is always
And
not
the thing is, and they you can't what did they have to correlate it against? Nothing.
nothing. Yeah, there was no data.
Because if you look from 2014 up to 2021, they have massive amount of data set that
To
they can
work with,
actually
yeah, and they can call up.
correlate.
Yeah,
They can say, okay, we can compare it to when we did this and we did that. This was the result. But last year was absolutely
no,
nil. They
nothing.
basically started with
A blank
um,
slate. Yeah,
a
there
blank
was nothing.
computer where they said, no, okay, no, we're going to have to populate the spreadsheet with all of these data points and so on, and build a database from the ground up to know so we can correlate with what our wind tunnel is saying to what's actually going on track. So
I
this
just
year.
I just hope the learning of last year paid off for them because that team deserves some real, performance not coming their way because that
Yeah, I
last year
mean, after
was,
what we saw last year, I
yeah,
think
no,
that
it
I
was
think,
painful
but
to watch at some
I
point,
don't think.
basically.
You know what? I'm not even going to say they deserve something. They have to earn that. They
They
have to
have
earn
to
that back.
earn, yeah.
Deserve. Deserve and earn are two different things. You can say you deserve something, but did you earn it? And I
Yeah,
think in their case, they have to earn that
I'm
back.
just a fan, a spectator. I can imagine the pain I was feeling. I try to imagine how much of that the people that actually work in this place, live with these cars and what they will be passing through those moments. I, it was painful to watch most of the
Of
time
course, it
because
was painful.
it was painful.
But
Yes.
you know what? Even though it was painful, in some ways, I kind of enjoyed the season.
Are you
Even though it was
serious?
bored. Yeah, yeah,
What part of that
yeah,
season did you
yeah.
enjoy?
Because no, I didn't say I enjoyed the season. I said I
Okay.
kind of enjoyed it. And when say that, I
Uh,
mean in the sense that, you know, it's just the anticipation of actually seeing what they're
oh,
gonna
what
do.
will happen next phase?
Yeah,
We are
how are
making
they
some
gonna?
certain timetable
Am I seeing
by
progress or not?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one of the things, why whilst I was disappointed and kind of cheesed off of how the thing went, I kind of looked at it like, you know what, this shit happened at the end of the day. This is sports, and this is why we love sports.
You're
You
supposed to, yeah,
never, you're
because
never.
you can't be winning all
It's
the time. Yeah.
unpredictable. It's
Unpredictable.
literally unpredictable, and that's one of the beauty about sports unpredictability. Because even today, I was watching snooker, and Ronnie O'Sullivan in the Welsh Open was playing some guy from, I think he's from China, ranked 49th in the world. He basically whitewashed Ronnie O'Sullivan 5-0, knocked him out of the championship. And you think, you'd never think
That was not
Ronnie
on the
that would
scoreboard.
happen.
Nobody saw it coming. Yeah, kind of.
Exactly.
Mm.
So whilst last year was a bad year, you know what? It happens. It was going to happen at some point
It was gonna
because there's
happen.
no way you can expect them
You
to win
can't continue
forever.
to
You
win that
can't.
way. Yes, yeah.
I'm just disappointed in the manner in which how the winning
Yeah,
came to
after
an
what
end.
happened in
That's it.
2021. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
We've got traitorous Anik in the house. The man who is a Red Bull and Ferrari fan at the same
Oh,
time.
and it is
I'm literally confused how that one works.
okay.
But according to him, he only supports winners, and I'm thinking if you support
The
winners, how can you
irony
support
is lost
Ferrari?
on that one.
How can someone? How can you say you support winners and support Ferrari? That just don't make any sense to me.
Ferrari doesn't know how to win
Traitor,
anything.
what's up? Traitor.
What do you mean by winners?
Yeah, you
When
said
I say winners, it's a plural, Thanos. It's a plural.
yeah.
You only managed to achieve one race win, and
You
that was a
said
lucky
win.
race win as well.
Okay. Okay.
But I celebrated 4 times last year. I'm
Oh
good.
wow.
Four
And
times, 4 times more than you.
okay. Okay. No, that's 3 times more than me, not four. But okay.
Four times more because you
Um,
got one and we got four.
okay. Do the math.
4 times as many.
No, you
Four
some.
times as many.
Okay. Anyway, I don't get. So you're just in it to see if your team wins a race, you're happy.
Yeah. Well, why else do you watch F1 to what come fifth and sixth? That's not what I'm here for.
No, I watch
I'm only here
F1 to
for
see.
winners.
I watch F1 to see my driver and team win championships, not just win a race.
Yeah.
Okay, but I've
Or
seen
do you
that as
watch
well.
Liverpool for them just to win a match, or do you watch them to win the Premier League?
Oh, to win the Premier League, of
Okay,
course,
so what makes Formula One any different?
because at the end of the day, you got to know if a team's going to do well or not. And I've predicted it every year.
No,
I've
you didn't
literally
answer
got
my
it right every
question.
year.
That's not an answer to my question. How is Formula One different to you? You watching Liverpool, wanting Liverpool to win the Premier League, as opposed to watching
Because
Formula just to see a team win a
you're
race.
talking about two completely different sports.
It's still
Formula One is
sports.
what no, it's what interests me about the sport. And what interests me about Formula One is, it's the innovation, it's the technology,
Oh
it's the
God, can't be
strategy,
Oh no,
and
let me
and
That's
and
not
and,
finish.
and you
that's
know
not
what?
possible.
And
It's
fast cars. And at the end of the day, Red Bull ticks all of those boxes.
But
Literally,
when did King Anik, when did Red Bull start tick those boxes for you?
last year,
So what
they
happened?
showed me that they
So
can adapt to new regulations and
So hold on,
literally
okay,
trounce
but
the opposition.
hold on a second, Anik. So, but they've also proven to you that they can't adapt to regulation change. 2014, 2017,
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's your point?
My point is that
You don't have
they're
one.
gonna.
There is no
No,
point.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. But Mercedes have only ever been good in one series. That's it.
What do you mean
Literally
one
in one
series?
series.
Explain yourself. What do you mean one series?
Like you've only been good in from 2014 to 2021, and even then the fuel blend changed.
What are
So
you
you
talking
couldn't even
about?
do well in 2022. You didn't win a championship. Sorry, in 2021, you didn't win a championship, did you? You just got the
Sorry.
constructors. You just got the constructors in
Okay, so
2021, correct?
why didn't they win in 2021? Anik, are you just being
I think
willfully obtuse, or are you doing
I'm no,
doing this to
I'm
just to
not.
kind of like rile people up, or you
I'm not.
genuinely believe this?
No, I'm not. I'm not
Okay,
doing it. I'm actually appreciating what Red Bull have done. They've won in the V6. They won in the 2.4 liter, 5% alcohol and 10% alcohol era, and they've won under new aerodynamic changes as well. The
I don't get
team,
you.
you just have to.
But hold,
what does
hold
that
on,
even
hold on,
mean?
What
That's
I'm
a
trying
but
to say.
complete jump
hold
both
on,
words together. What does that even
Hold on.
mean?
hold on, Anik,
What I'm trying to say.
what you mean
What do you
that
mean
I'll tell you what I mean.
five
I'll tell you what I mean.
percent E,
Mercedes
10% E? What does that
Mercedes
even
won in
mean?
20 Mercedes
No,
won
it's an
races.
alcohol blend.
Hold on,
Uh,
but Anik, Mercedes won
Yeah.
races every year from 2011 to this year. They've never to 2022. They've never gone a season winless since 2011. Is it
No,
2011 or
2012,
2011?
2012, 2012.
No, Nico Rosberg won Monaco in 2011. I'm sure he did, didn't he?
I
Yeah.
don't think so. No, no, no. I think his first race win was China.
No, his first race win was in. Okay, yeah, you could be right. Yeah, their first race win was in 2012, China.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got so Mercedes has won races every year since 2012 to
Okay, but
2022. Red Bull
as
have
you
gone
said,
seasons without winning races during that period.
yeah. But Thanos, as you
But
said,
what?
as you said, we're here for championships. Yeah. Red
So,
Bull have
so
won
if,
championships
So
in
now
all the
yeah,
you're
but
here
vehicles.
Red
for
Bull,
championship
but
now.
Kingsley,
Yeah.
but Anik, Red Bull didn't win a championship for the best part of eight seasons straight. So what's your point?
I know,
So, but you weren't
isn't that
supporting them. You were supporting Mercedes.
no?
Yes, you was.
No, no, yeah, I was, and
So,
again,
so,
I got
so
it
you,
right.
so,
So I was
so
supporting
no.
Basically
basically.
hopping
So your
around.
thing now is your thing is you just jump to anybody who you think
Who's
who
winning?
basically
Yeah,
is
whoever is
it.
winning.
But you
So
know
you
what?
don't really support anyone.
No,
You just pick someone who's winning because
you know what?
if
At
you
the
were
end of the
support
day,
no because if you were about winners and you were supporting Mercedes from 2014 up until 2021, why now are you shitting on them and saying talking about Red Bull when Red
no,
Bull
but you're not
didn't win
understanding.
anything for 8 years?
At the end of the day, F1 is the ultimate winner. Okay, I love the sport,
No, you're
and
not.
I have
No,
been so right.
you're
Yeah,
going
the
around in
I
circles,
generic. That's
Anik.
becoming generic.
You're
listen
going
to me.
around in circles, Anik.
No, I'm not.
You're not actually making any sense because you're saying you support winners, but only last year you started to support Red Bull. You didn't support them the previous 8 seasons.
Yeah. So
So that means you have no loyalty to no one. You just
Yeah.
jump on whoever is winning because you
at the
argue.
end of the day,
No, no, no. Hold up. Let me even go back further. Last year, your argument was you were supporting Ferrari last year. So now
yeah.
you're supporting Red Bull. So
So
so that means if AlphaTauri starts winning this year,
That's
you're
what I
going to
was
start
gonna say.
supporting
Yeah, it's
AlphaTauri.
for
no,
hospitality again.
you're not getting it. No,
What's the
you're not
get?
getting it. You're not getting because no, hold on. Because Mercedes won in 2021. Why didn't I support Mercedes in 2022?
Because they didn't win any races, so you decided to support
No,
Ferrari.
no, no. You know what? I knew. You know what? Every
I don't
year,
care what we
okay.
don't care what you know. You didn't know anything.
During December,
Mhm.
no, no, I no, no. I know everything. During every year during the off season, I sit down and I assess all the teams and I think who's going to do well, who's not going to do
So who
well.
you thought
I
was
got
going to
it
do
right
well
with
in 20
Ferrari, and I'm
in
telling you right
2020?
now,
Who you thought was going to do well? No,
Mercedes.
you
I
didn't.
knew it.
You're lying. No,
Yeah,
you didn't.
I
No,
did.
you didn't.
I
No,
did.
you didn't. You're lying.
I've got receipts to prove it.
What from where?
Um,
Oh
from
God.
I wasn't tweeting back then,
Uh,
but you got to just take my word
no,
for
I
it.
can't take your word for.
Anyway,
I can't take
Thanos.
your word for
Anyway,
it. How
Thanos.
can I take
Anyway,
your word
Thanos.
for it when
Regardless,
your words don't even
you can just look
you
at my track
yourself can't
record.
even understand
Last year,
make sense?
I told you about Ferrari.
What did you tell me about
They
Ferrari
gave me
last
that
year?
winning. I told everyone they're going to win races, and they
Okay,
gave me that winning feeling. And now And now I've seen what Red Bull have done. They've bounced back from eras, and they've done. And Christian Horner has done so well, to develop a car.
I don't get that. I don't get that. I don't understand your point about saying Ferrari winning 4 races gave you that winning feeling. Again, it goes back to my point about Liverpool. Do you watch Liverpool for them just to win matches, or do you watch them to win the championship? No, answer the question. Say yes or no.
I see them to win matches. Of course to win matches.
No, answer my question. Do you watch Liverpool for them just to win matches, or to win the championship, the Premier League and the Champions League?
Obviously, the ultimate goal.
Answer the question.
The Premier League and Champions League.
Okay, so you watch Liverpool wanting them to win the championship, the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, and so on. But you watch Ferrari just so they can win a couple races.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I'll put my hands up. Ferrari, I would have expected them to win the championship, and I wanted them to win the championship. Okay, but I saw what Red Bull done, and I'm looking. What did you see? What Red Bull?
No, I'm confused because you wanted Ferrari to win the championship last year. Yeah. And they didn't win it. So now you jumped on the Red Bull bandwagon and said, okay, you're going to support Red Bull because they won champion. You're talking about Christian Horner did well.
Okay, but Thanos, think about it. Why am I gonna support Red Bull now? Why am I not gonna support Mercedes? Why am I not gonna support Alpine?
Because these teams, you literally just said you only support winners. And the fact that Red Bull won last year, so you're going to support them this year. That's why you give them so much plaudits, because you're saying, look what Christian Horner did. No, hold on. You said look what Christian Horner did. What did he do the previous 8 years?
He didn't do much.
Okay, so why are you giving him plaudits now when you weren't rocking with him 8 years ago? You were rocking with Mercedes.
Because I knew that they were the best team.
Who was the best team?
Mercedes.
So who's the best team now?
Right now, the best team is Red Bull.
So that's why you're rocking with Red Bull now.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah.
So you see my point.
Yeah,
you only go with who is hot at that moment.
Yeah.
You don't have any loyalty to anyone. Whoever is hot at that moment is who you go with.
Hold on. Was Ferrari hot last year at the start? No, they weren't. I knew. So I'm looking.
How was Ferrari not hot at the start last year? They won the first 2 races.
No, but before the first 3 races, I was calling Ferrari. How did I know that? Thanos.
What were you?
At the end of the day, we're going around in circles.
You're going around in circles because you're not making any sense.
Can we just move on? So I wanted to talk about
the new
FI regulations.
You're not going to catch me out. It's fine.
The FI regulations about clarifying whatever that was about what drivers can say or don't say if they're political.
Look, you know why that statement came out? Because of what Lewis said yesterday.
Yeah, that he was going to say it.
Lewis pretty much said yesterday, you know what?
He gave that the middle finger. Right. I'm going to say what I want to say.
He pretty much just said, Ben, fuck you. I'm going to still do my shit. If you want to ban me for a race, I don't give a shit. You're going to have to ban me.
Yeah.
You're going to have to ban, because it's kind of like, it's so coincidental that you're going to issue a statement on clarifications the day after your biggest asset, your sport's biggest asset comes out and says, look,
every other
I don't
driver,
give a shit.
Yeah, mind you, every other driver up until yesterday, they were being asked about it, and they were saying no, that they don't think it's right. Some iterations, versions of that, basically. But when Lewis just came and said, I don't care what you're going to do, I'm going to say what I said, they had to come out and say, do something. Otherwise,
exactly. But
they look stupid.
But Kingsley, everybody knows that from the get-go, that statement was definitely aimed at Lewis.
Everything,
because Max would see some racist shit going down in the street and just walk past. I'll probably join in and beat the shit out of somebody.
Absolutely.
But he's not going to talk. Max is not going to open his mouth and talk about anything that happens in society, because he's so insulated and he really doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a hoot.
Max doesn't care about no one but Max and who's in Max's circle. So when they went to him and asked him this question, I thought, that's the wrong person to ask such a question. Yeah. Because you're asking a person a question who has never once shown anything about him that, you know what, he cares about
puppies,
anything outside of racing, nothing. I don't even think Max has black friends, so You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why are you going to ask him of all people?
Can I ask you a question, Thanos?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. You know, your car, very nice car, by the way, definitely passes the eye test.
Yeah, but you're not coming over to our side. We don't need you.
No,
You're bad luck.
I know.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm bad luck?
Yeah, you're bad luck, dude.
To Ferrari. You're bad luck to Ferrari.
Just stick with Red Bull and Ferrari. We don't need you. But carry on, ask your question.
So I've seen some of the stuff you've been tweeting. You're very vocal about it not being sidepods being the issue.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see in this new car, just on face value, that actually you think can make you challenge? Or do you reckon the performance gains are underneath the hood?
With performance gain, the PUs is the same as the one they used last year. So that's not going to change. What have I seen? I just believe in the team. They're not stupid. They didn't win. You don't win 8 championships by not being good at what you do. Okay. They admitted last year they made a mistake. They went down a path and they didn't foresee the porpoising.
But what was the mistake? Was the mistake porpoising?
The mistake was a design flaw in the car that they didn't tell anybody. They said they weren't going to tell anyone what it was, and they couldn't. They basically had to leave it and engineer it out in this year's car.
Okay. So then, do you think you'll be there at the start?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Well, we want me to say no? They're going to be behind AlphaTauri.
No, I'm not saying that. Just want to know if you're going to be, challenging us for pole position.
I know what you're trying to get at, because what you're trying to do, you're looking for receipts to say. So when the season starts, if they're not there, you're going to say, oh, you're going to then tweet me and say, oh, Thanos, I thought you said they were going to be. I don't care.
Anik,
I'm not phased.
Anik, do you think Mercedes would not be there this season? Like, do you think so?
I don't know. You will. I think you will. I think the order is going to be Red Bull number one. You'll put up more of a challenge to us than Ferrari did last year.
Fair enough.
And then Mercedes number 2, and then number 3 will be Ferrari. I actually think Ferrari will take a couple of steps back.
It's odd. It's odd for you as a Ferrari man to be saying
that.
But I'm confused. Well, you're supporting Red Bull.
I've got no loyalties in F1.
Oh my God, Kingsley!
It's obvious. Isn't that obvious already? He has no loyalty. It's obvious.
Did I not just say?
That's what you said.
And you have no loyalty
not so many words ago. That's what you said.
And you denied it. No, you've actually admitted that you don't.
I'll tell you.
So you basically go for who is hot.
Whoever is winning.
No. I know.
If Mercedes is hot this season, you're going to jump on the
bandwagon. I would not be surprised.
No chance. No chance. Listen, Thanos, I assess the landscape. I see who's going to do well, and I say, okay, I'm going to go.
How can you tell who's going to do well?
Because Thanos, look. Okay, so are you telling me Red Bull's not going to do well this year?
I never said that. No, they're going to do well, but
based on what they've done last year. Based on what they've done last year, based on their drivers, based on their chief designer, based on their team principal, they're going to do absolutely amazing.
Anik, they had the same
chief designer,
the same designer, the same driver, 2018 to present, and up until we know what happened in Abu Dhabi 21 and last year. What did they do prior to 2021, Anik? What did they do, Anik?
They didn't do anything.
So why are you talking about?
Because they've got the perfect blend now. They've got the perfect blend.
But it was the same blend that was there in those previous
because the engine 2021. The engine wasn't there. The engine.
Oh my God!
And by the way, on the engine front, do you know what Red Bull are doing with the engine?
What are they doing?
They're getting Ford in to work on the electrical component. That Ford is so good.
Slow you will, Anik. I don't know if you follow Formula One news, because it doesn't sound like you do.
What you're going to say?
What?
I know what you're going to say.
Ford cannot work on
2026. From 2026, we are going to dominate. That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, yeah, cool. Nice story, dude.
That's okay.
Nice story. Keep telling yourself that one. But if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I wish you all the best, because that's not going to happen.
It may happen, Brett. He's just hoping.
No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because based on what they're saying about the Ford deal, basically Ford is going to work on the electronics. Yeah. So Red Bull is going to build the ICE itself. Mm-hmm. good luck to them.
No, but the point is that he's allowed to hope that they dominate, but I don't think
Yeah,
he's going to happen.
no,
That's the thing.
no. Anik isn't. Anik. What basically Anik's going to do is Anik's just going to see who's dominate, who comes out hot in 2026, and that's who he's going to hitch his wagon to.
So what was the point? What was the
That's what he
reason
does.
of leaving Honda to go to Ford, for example, if it's not basically monetary nature, really?
But this is what I mean. This is what Horner is doing in the background. It's a proper team principle. He's assessing the landscape. He's looking at what's coming in the future and thinking, you know what, we're not going to do the same thing with Renault. We're going to go for Ford because they know about the electrical components. That's why.
So hold on. So Ford's the only person that knows about electrical components.
No.
How more advanced is Ford in the EV industry than Mercedes or
Honda, for example.
Honda?
Not any more advanced.
What's this hype about Ford and electronics?
Because you know what, at the end of the day, I think Horner wants to say that he's created this Red Bull powertrains team, and that'll be another. And I think that by going with Ford, so they can work on the electrical side, will be another, thing.
But Annie, think about this.
I think it's just the US market.
Hold on, Kingsley. Hold on, Kingsley. Yeah. Annie, they had the opportunity to partner with Porsche. Porsche that won Le Mans using hybrid technology. Audi, who's part of the so Ford Porsche has that proper racing heritage. They had an opportunity to go with Porsche, and that deal fell through because again they didn't want to give up. Based on reports, they didn't want to give up decision making process within the team. They wanted to Horner and Helmut still wants to be the people that make those decisions. Whereby if Porsche had come on board, Porsche would have been like, no, we need to be involved.
No, Honda can't be doing those stuff if Porsche was with it. He can't come. He wouldn't try some of the things.
Yeah, because you're not going to damage. You're not going to damage.
No, you can't damage the brand. Yeah.
So I don't see how you go from Porsche to Ford has some sort of,
It is purely business reason. The US market is a huge market. He wants to be fully present there, and Ford offers them that kind of opportunity. Again, that's just it. There's nothing else there.
And
but wouldn't you want an ambitious team principle like that then?
I don't get you.
Of course you do. He's looking to build the brand forward.
That's what the point. It's not a bad thing. I'm saying it's not a bad thing.
But Anik, when you say ambitious, what other options did he have? It was either that or they build their own. So what options did they have? They either had to partner with someone or build their own power unit, which they can't do because they don't have the resources and the finances to do it.
I'm sure there could have been a deal struck with Honda, no?
Yeah, there could have been. But I think one of the problems they were having was they wanted Honda to come in as a new entrant, as opposed to
an existing
one. Yes, I think that's the reason why they will go for because Ford is coming in probably as a new entrant, and therefore they are not limited by the whole thing that's happened to team already, the existing team. That's basically the only reason I say they are then close.
You don't find that odd, Annie, that they've for months and months they've been negotiating with Porsche for the best of a year, because this Porsche deal was rumored about a year and a half.
In fact, everyone thought it was a done deal. Honestly,
it was done because it was I think it was in Turkey. They had to file some documents, and it was filed in Turkey that Porsche had a 50% stake in the team. The news broke, and then you went from that to within, what was it? Because when that deal fall through, I think it was around November. I can't remember when it fell. To know within space, just call it 2-3 months, to now sign a deal with Ford.
So what's Mercedes' plan in 2026 then?
What do you mean?
What kind of silly question is that?
You're not going to partner up with no one? No.
Why would they need to partner up with somebody?
I don't understand. They make engines. They make the complete car themselves.
Oh my God, dude! What would they need to partner with somebody to do what?
I think Anik is distracted.
But why? You actually asked who Mercedes are going to partner with.
Yeah.
Mercedes is one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. What kind of?
I think Anik is distracted. He didn't know when he said that.
Sorry, I'm in the
No,
middle of
you
doing
know what?
something. No, actually,
No,
I'm in the middle of doing something.
he actually meant what he
I don't
said.
think so. Partner.
Yeah, trust me, he did. He did, because I don't see how you're gonna ask such a question like that. But either way, that whole thing just seems a bit odd that you've gone from a deal with Porsche, one of the part of one of the biggest the VAG group is a massive
Yeah,
group, to Ford. I just don't get it. And then when you factor in that Andretti then announced, well, a couple of weeks prior
yeah,
before
that
that,
was,
that they've signed a deal with Cadillac.
yeah.
And basically, they're not going to build any of those engines. They just, who is it? Who owns? They were going to use an engine from one of their. I think it's Renault. Because if I'm not, no, who owns Renault? Is it Nissan that owns Renault?
Nissan owns,
Nissan,
yeah,
Nissan,
Nissan owns
Renault,
Renault.
Mazda,
So it wouldn't.
Infiniti, they're all part of the same group.
Yeah. So they were going to use someone from the from within the what's the name? What's the whole entire brand within the Ford company that already makes a similar engine?
Isn't it?
That's what they're basically going to use.
What, the Ford
It's
electrical engines?
no, no, the ice I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, the whole thing with Red Bull and Ford is kind of like it's just a branding
a
deal.
branding deal. And here, Mary Pass, similar to what they did when they left to join Renault and Honda. They just want to go a different way. I don't think they love, because up until that last year when they broke away from Porsche, they didn't have. I don't think they had Ford as a second option to them if that deal fell through. Everything was into that deal. So within the space of
Yeah, because
four
everything seemed
months,
to be
you have a new partner. I don't even think they did a lot of due diligence.
and and
They gave
and you're talking about
they gave
Ford.
me pass.
I don't see it's a branding deal. It
It is
seems
a
like a
brand deal.
branding deal. They're not gonna, it's just to slap the name on something that says yes Ford. But
I will not be
are they actually
surprised
gonna do,
if
no,
the IP is still coming from Honda on the power
no,
unit.
no, no, they can't do that. You crazy? You crazy? There's no way they can do that. They cannot do that. Honda would sue the shit out of them. That's Honda's property, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, the people who are actually working on the power units at Red Bull are actually Honda staff.
Yeah,
They're actually employed by Honda, but I think Red Bull. I think prior to them changing the deal in Japan last year, I think the arrangement was they kind of like they were leasing
yeah.
the power units as well as the staff that comes with it. So Red Bull were paying, I think, if I could be wrong or misinterpreted, but Red Bull were actually paying Honda a leasing fee.
Okay, for the engines and the
Yeah,
staff.
so all
Yeah,
the
everything.
yeah, yeah, so all the people who are actually working on the power unit now at Red Bull, or Honda people,
Mm.
they're not actually
Red Bull, and
employed by
yeah.
Red Bull.
That makes sense, of course, because that's.
So it's the IP is still belongs to Honda. So there's no way they
But when
can
they were handing
transfer any of
over,
that
when they
to
were handing over the whole powertrain unit, I thought they actually handed over, including the IP and everything. But they had people who
no,
could service the.
Honda's not going to hand over the IP like that, and especially when you consider that they've now registered to be to be an interested supplier come 2026.
Yeah,
There's no way they're going to hand over those IP
yeah.
to Red Bull like that, because
I
then,
think the ultimate
especially when
goal
it,
for Red
yeah, go
Bull
on.
is to literally have their own engine, fully owned engine that's fully owned by themselves and just run by themselves. So I don't think
Yeah,
they're going to hand over the IP, but I think they're trying to learn everything as much as possible so that they can run
Red Bull.
independently.
I remember. I remember. Toto Wolff said when he heard that Red Bull were going to go
And
on
build,
board, he
yeah.
said,
Good
"Look,
luck.
I wish him all the
Yeah,
best. He's going to realize
how
just how
difficult
difficult
it
it
is to
is.
build everything
It's not,
in
and
house. Yeah,
and and you're talking about if Brackley employs Brixwer. If Brixwer employs what 1,000 people, um, 200-300 people at Red Bull is not going to
no,
cut it, and that's just not going to cut
it's
it.
not.
And you're talking about Mercedes, a company that has years
And not
experience
just that,
in building engines.
the
It's not
the,
an
the
easy
people
job.
that do these things, especially the powertrain part of it, there are not that many of them in the world, like that build F1 powertrain, that kind of thing. So unless you're just trying to give new people room to grow, which may or may not bear fruit at the end of the day, I think they don't even have enough people that they can feed in.
Personally, I would like them to go ahead and build their own
Yeah,
car. So
that's
every
you
time it
saying
catches
you
on
want them
fire, I
to
just
fail
laugh.
completely.
Yeah,
That's it. Because
yeah, because I want every time they go on, I want him to be worse than the Honda McLaren relationship in 2015. I want every time, the moment, I just want every time they do a
after
startup,
10
the engine
laps, the
catches on
engine
fire
just
before it
goes
even leaves the
kaboom,
garage.
explodes.
Look, I want the engines to catch on fire before they even leave the garage. So they're just constantly
That
changing.
is not
That's what
nice.
I want. I do not like, I wish them every bad luck that
uh,
you can think of. I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't like seeing them when they succeed. It annoys me. It hurts my soul. And I'm on multiple. You remember I'm in multiple universes, and it affects every single
all the
one of them.
universities
I
is
don't like.
going through.
But
Look, I'm in the multiverse
But
thing.
Thanos, how are you going to deal with this year then? Let's be
Oh,
honest.
what about what?
When Red Bull
Same way I
do so
dealt with
well.
last year. It's going to hurt my soul. Didn't you not just hear what I said?
Okay, so you
I
don't think
don't like.
you don't think there's a chance Red Bull don't get it right this year?
Oh, they're the defending
No,
champion.
no, they're the
They're the
team.
team to beat.
They're the team
Of
to
course,
beat.
they're the team to beat. They are the defending
They're the
champion.
team to beat. No one is. I'm not naive enough to think, oh, it's going to be an even playing field going into the season.
It's
Hell
not.
no. Red Bull's still the team to beat. In the pecking order, it's still Red Bull, Ferrari, and then Mercedes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I don't
until
think it's Ferrari, by the way. I don't think it's
well,
Ferrari.
it's kind of sad that you as a Ferrari man don't think that. But then again, you're a Red Bull
Yeah,
fan, so
he's
that's
anybody that's winning fan.
what are you?
Whoever is
You're
winning,
like a
that's yeah.
chameleon. You're like a chameleon. You
Yeah,
just
it's
change
just changing
colors
colors.
at
Any
will.
team that wins, Annick supports that. That's it.
Yeah, you would fit. You actually you fit in both camps. So I can see why you don't have any loyalties to either.
Annick,
You're
there's this
traitors.
news that Ferrari is getting double digit, triple digit from their power units. I don't know.
That's a whole lie. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. They say that every year. They say that every year.
But why don't you
But
believe them now? Because they have rooms to actually
so
fix the reliability of the car,
so,
which means they have
so
to redesign
But they're
the
not.
end.
But they're not getting no increase in power.
Why not?
They're not
I
getting
Because
new
they
think
power.
had to
I
They're
don't
not
think
redesign
getting any
the
new
internal
power.
combustion of the engine. So
No, no, they're not allowed to redesign anything. The engines were frozen last
no,
year.
but for
They're not
reliability,
allowed to
you
do.
can actually work on your engine.
Yeah, no.
yeah.
There's specific. No. Be careful. There's specific areas you're allowed to work on for reliability purposes, and you have to prove it, and the other teams other manufacturers have to agree with it
You can I don't.
because we're
Here's why. Here's what. First
yes,
of all, the FIA doesn't even have the capability to monitor what changes in an ice. That is a given.
yes they
The
do, dude. You have to you have you if you're gonna you have to what do you call it?
Submit.
Oh god, submit drawings, all of these
yeah.
things. They're not just gonna say, you're not gonna come and say, there's something wrong with our one of our turbos. We need to fix it. You have to prove what the issue is.
Okay.
They're
So
not just
so
Okay. So
gonna
let
so
me
what I
let me
think
and
give
should
you an
again,
happen.
example, Tano. So if the because for what I read, they actually had to fix their internal combustion section and these arrangements there. So for example, if you make a different eyes, for example, to stop whatever was happening to it, the problem you're having, and then you make it from a composite material that is lighter than the engine previous.
you can't do that. You cannot do that. If there's a reliability issue, because under the terms of where you can it comes to reliability, one of the other grounds is on the grounds of safety.
Mhm.
So if you're saying, okay, we've got a reliability issue with our internal combustion engine, then you have to prove what the reliability
Oh,
the issue is,
that is easy to prove. That was easy
and
for
then
them to prove. Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, you then cannot change. You can't say, okay, you use aluminum to make the engine block, and then you're going to change to use titanium. You cannot do that. It has to be the same, like for like, and Basically. So you can't change anything. You just have to work on that specific area.
I
The thing
believe
is,
reliability changes is a way for engine
of course,
manufacturer to
yes, yeah,
upgrade
no,
their
no,
engine
but
and do
So
something.
this is
no,
why I
it's not.
think Ferrari
No,
went
what
really
look,
hard
what
last year.
reliability changes is somewhat still a performance
Yes, it is
change
a
because what
performance.
then that allows you
Yeah.
to do is because in the case of Ferrari, last year they had to turn it down because of those
Yeah.
issues. But this year, if they fix those issues, they can actually then go back to
It was
where they
supposed to be
were
last year.
previously.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then,
So
so
I
the
think the
power,
performance was always there.
exactly.
Exactly what
So the
Carlos
power
says.
gain. So these numbers where they're talking about Ferrari going to gain an extra 30. No, it's what they already had, but they couldn't. But because they couldn't run the power unit to that level because of reliability, that's why they had to turn it down. So if they fix it, they can know, okay, we can run the power unit at a much harder, so we can harness that extra 30 bhp that we already
Yeah.
had there. So it's not new. So people always, when people say, "Oh, Ferrari are going to gain an extra 30 bhp," and you're like, "No, they're not. It's something that they already had, but they couldn't run it. It's not new power that they found on top of what they already
Okay, for
had."
example, Mercedes is going to gain some power too, for example. So
No, Mercedes aren't going. They're not gaining any. It's what they already had.
no, there
So the
was
reliable.
this.
So the reliable. Yes, the article said they're going to gain some like an extra 10 to
Mhm.
15 bhp. But again, it's on the basis that they fixed the reliability
Thanos.
issue that they had
No,
last year.
the
What's
E
your
time fear too.
opinion on
They
the?
designed
You cannot
the design. There
Kingsley.
was from
Okay,
what I read.
no,
Wait, from what
Kingsley,
I read,
Kingsley.
there was some
The
design
power
in the
unit.
eyes that allowed them to combust the E10 better and can generate a higher amount of energy from it than the previous engine was doing. That is what I think. I look for what
No,
I read.
Kingsley, the power unit, the fuel, and all the lubricants have actually been homologated. They're
Yes.
frozen. The fuel that they're using and all the lubricants they used last year is what they've got to use up until 2026,
Yes.
the end of
No,
to 2025.
the Mercedes wasn't getting enough. They were having combustion problem with the E10.
Exactly. So they had a reliability issue, which they basically,
So that's my point.
yes, they
So if what did
fixed
you
that.
fix in the car that will allow you to not
Yeah.
burn
So
the E10 better than you used to do it before?
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying when you say um like an upgrade. It's not really an upgrade per se. It just means a reliability fix. In some ways, is in some ways kind of like an upgrade.
Yes, it is an upgrade because if, for example, you have a piston arrangement that
But
was
you're
in a
not getting
different direction and you
it.
change it
Just
around, that's an upgrade, for example. So here, I understand what you're saying, honestly, but my point is, first of all, the FIA are incapable of policing these things. They are relying on other teams to point them out for them. And when it comes to engine, for example, it is remarkably difficult to point out something from an engine unless you're just suspecting what the other team is doing, and then you have to just call her. Case in point, when Ferrari
no,
were
because
running the
but
illegal engine,
no,
the
the
FIA
thing,
didn't know.
Kingsley, you have to hold on. Kingsley, all the engines have a seal on them,
Yes.
and they'll know if those and they've got two types of seals. One of those are FIA mandated
Mhm.
seals that the FIA
Of
put on
course.
those
Yeah.
power units, so they'll know if anything is tampered with in the power units. So I don't think it's something as simple as, oh, they can do something and the FIA and fine. They
The
possibly
FIA
can, but
didn't know
it's
Ferrari were cheating on their engine, for example.
oh, no, no, no. I think they knew what
No,
Ferrari
they
were.
didn't.
They knew what Ferrari. Oh,
If
please.
they knew, why
They
didn't they
knew what
stop them from
Ferrari.
the beginning,
They
therefore?
knew. They knew what because no one said anything.
So what you're saying is they will allow you to do something legal, but until somebody says something about it, therefore it was. I don't think so. I think
Yo,
if
guys. Listen,
Yes.
listen. Sorry to interrupt. I believe what Kingsland's saying is right, spot on. I agree with every point you said, but I want to speak about one thing, right? My favorite Formula One driver so far this year, last year was Kevin from Denmark. You know what I'm saying? He won 2014, 2020, and 2022. I don't know if you guys know that. Do you know that Seven?
Who?
Seven, you know who I'm talking about?
What?
Hello,
What are you
Seven.
talking about? What?
A
who was that?
Danish driver, Kevin.
Kevin
He won
Magnussen?
that. He won that driver. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, that my guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think of him, like generally? Like, what's your opinion on him?
What did Kevin Magnussen win?
I can't remember. Did
2014,
he win in
2020, and
McLaren then?
2022. Yeah, he won it last year.
Who?
Kevin
Who?
Mockley, Danish player, Danish driver, Formula One. Kevin Mockley. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, that's not a Formula One driver. I think that's a different driver. I don't know. The only driver that is bearing Kevin is Kevin Magnussen.
I think
And
he's here to chill because that don't make no goddamn
yeah, it
sense.
doesn't even.
Kevin Mookley, Kevin who?
Maybe he doesn't know. Kevin Magnussen.
I have no
He
idea.
didn't win last year. Did he win?
There's no one. I don't know who he's talking about.
I have
Anyway,
no idea what
Thanos,
he's talking about.
Yo,
what's
let
up?
me ask you a question, yeah? So you spoke all about engines. What about the Renault engine? Because that was quite fast last year. You reckon they're going to be quick this year?
Was it fast, really?
Really?
No,
I thought in a straight line it was quick.
Yeah, was it the engine really?
Yeah,
Or
but
the car
Alec,
was...
you have more corners on a track than you have straight lines. So
yeah, I know.
I don't expect anything.
But it's
from
still a
Alpine.
potential. They
Potential to do what?
Something.
What? What is something?
Progress.
Yeah,
Thanos,
because
progress.
Nothing is something as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but they could do better. Come on, haven't you seen some of the changes they made?
They could. Where did they
got a
finish
better
last
driver
year?
lineup.
They finished with last year. They finished with fifth.
Yeah.
They finished fifth in the championship. So the best they can do is finish fifth again.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see Renault. I don't see Alpine. Look, Alpine, the current power units we see right now in Formula One is because of Renault, Alpine, Lotus, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because they threatened to leave Formula One around 2009, 11.
Yeah.
Unless Formula One switched over
The hybrid,
to the current
this current stage, yeah.
And it was when they went to the meeting, I think the initial agreement was a V4 it was a V4 1.6
liter,
liter,
yeah.
and it was agreed. And then everybody went away, and then Ferrari came back and like, yeah, that's not doing it for us. We don't make anything with V4. We just don't want it. So they scrapped it and they went, okay, 1.6 V6. So what we have now is because of Renault. And then Renault said, coming into the 2014 season, Renault said they expect to be winning within 3 years.
Yeah, that 3 years has always moved forward.
It's 2023 now. Last night, when they were doing the unveiling, the CEO said their plan is a 5-year plan. They should be winning within
Which
the
is
next 5
it was
years.
painful.
Next, hold on. Next 5 years from now is 2028. That would be we'll be going into the third 26, 20, the third season of the new new generation of power units.
Nah, they're not ready.
So the timeline doesn't tie up.
Always more.
So I don't see Alpine as a team that is going to win.
Now
they were fortunate in 2021. Huh?
They don't have the driver lineup to even win, even if they have the car. So
exactly, and I don't see them having the car either.
Yeah.
I just because who was it? Someone switched from Renault to Mercedes and during the hybrid, I can't remember which team it was. And they said when they went to the Viri, that was the Renault facilities, and they looked at it, and then when they went to Mercedes and they compared, it was like, yo, it's Mercedes was mild. They basically said if you look at the Renault setup, you didn't think that was a Formula One engine supplier. Yeah. It just looked so big. It was just like they at the time they had like 200 people working there, but when they went to Brixworth, they had like 900. So you see the difference in dynamics.
The gaps is there.
So I don't see Renault, Alpine, Lotus, wherever they feel like they want to call themselves in the next couple of years, as a team that you can bank on and say, yeah, this team is going to be a threat. I just don't see it. I don't think they have the resources. I don't think they have the right people in place. I mean, they've got now? Otmar. I mean, Otmar did relatively well when he was at Racing Point. Where did he go after Racing Point? Where did he go after Racing Point? Then he went to
Austin.
Aston. He went to Aston after Racing Point, didn't he? Didn't he go? Did he go to McLaren?
McLaren.
No, I think
He went to McLaren as well.
What?
I think he
Yeah,
went to
he went to
McLaren after
McLaren.
Eric
Yes,
Boulier left.
He was a McLaren.
He went to McLaren after Eric Boulier left. So, I mean, as somewhat good as Otmar is, I just don't see that team as a team that you can look at and say, you know, watch out for Renault, Alpine.
Yeah, no, not.
And again, as you said, Kingsley, the drivers. I think the drivers are mid. I think Gasly's just.
Like,
I mean, Gasly just has pretty boy
he's the
hype.
president of Team
That's it.
LH, so we don't call him names.
No, sorry, president of what? No, dude.
He's the president.
No, who voted? Who nominated him?
We have generally voted for him
When
as
did that?
president of FA
When
of Team
was that
LH.
ballot
So
cast? Because I didn't vote.
the guy is on our side most of the time. So let's not shade on him.
I don't care which side he's on. He's not. No, he's not. He's not in. But
Who?
again,
I'm
going
on
back to
Lewis's
them, I just
side.
don't see it.
Yeah, no, they don't have a driver like that.
I'm on Lewis's side.
We don't need you, dude.
No. I support Lewis Hamilton. I just don't.
No, you
support
can't.
Mercedes.
You can't support.
I'm
Lewis
not
Hamilton
supposed
and
to
support
Mercedes.
Red Bull.
Of course I
Yeah,
can.
and support Red Bull.
No.
No, that don't
It's
work.
not possible.
What do you mean?
No, you can't do that. That doesn't
So-
make any
so-
sense.
so- so
You're
Lewis
trying to mix
Hamilton-
oil and water. That's not a.
It doesn't mix.
That's not
Yeah,
possible.
it's not.
So hold on. If Lewis jumped ship
To where?
to Ferrari, would you still support Ferrari?
Oh,
And I'm
it's-
telling you, Thanos, that's going to happen. By the way, it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, I would
What's gonna
support
happen?
Lewis.
What's going to happen soon?
Lewis to Ferrari.
Why?
It's not going to happen, but if it happens,
Mercedes are not going to give him Mercedes are not going to give him his ninth world championship. That's why.
and then
Mercedes
Ferrari will
gave him
give him
6.
Okay.
Mercedes gave him
Told you.
6.
I told you.
Who was
It's the perfect
Mercedes
blend.
Ferrari hasn't given anyone a championship since Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah, and that was because McLaren were fighting themselves.
If you get, all you need is a driver. Trust me, that's all Ferrari need, a good driver.
Ferrari need more than a good driver.
It's not just the driver.
I mean, as good as Lewis is,
He can't work
it's going
miracles.
to take more than Lewis. You know, they say, you know, the story about turning water to wine or something.
Water to wine.
Whatever. I don't think Lewis has that level.
He's not a
of
miracle
knowledge.
worker. He's not a miracle worker. He can't do that.
That
Not in
Ferrari
Ferrari.
thing is just not. And you have to remember Lewis's approach when Marchionni was alive.
Yeah.
He was approached twice
Yeah, they
to
approached
join
him.
Ferrari. He went one at a time. He went to Maranello to spec out his LaFerrari, and Marchionni sent his right-hand man to Maranello to try and convince him to join Ferrari. And he's like,
Nah,
I have a good thing at
these
Mercedes.
guys are not.
Nah, I'm good.
Here.
I'm good. But
Hold on, he
said
actually
that-
said that if Lewis was driving the 2019
that was
not
that
McLaren.
was Luca Di Montezemolo
Montezemolo, yeah.
in 2018
that
said
he would have
2018,
won
if
that
Lewis-
championship for them.
if
Yeah.
Lewis was driving the Ferrari, they would have won the
Yeah.
championship. But I mean, it's not a lie.
It's not a lie, no, it's not a lie.
He didn't
Vector
lie.
just imploded at some point. I don't know what happened.
Look, again, fighting Lewis is not the easiest.
It's not
thing
the
in world
easiest
as a
thing at
Formula One
all.
driver, especially when he has a quick car. You have to
break.
Max literally said.
Yeah.
Max literally said at the end of 2021, if he had to do multiple seasons like that, he wouldn't last
She
long in
would get out
Formula
of
One.
F1, basically.
So it shows you the mindset.
Yeah.
But Lewis the
Thanos.
Ferrari is not gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Lewis
we'll
is
see.
going to
Wait and
sign
see.
one more contract at Mercedes, and that's it. This is his last contract in Formula One.
Wait and see. How do you think Oscar Piastri is going to do?
Again, I mean, he has a lot to prove
He has.
because the departure from Alpine wasn't great. You know, you're talking about people talking about lawsuits and all sorts of shit. Yeah, it was a bad breakup. Lando right now, Lando is right in the crest of a wave. Lando is hot. So I mean, he literally forced Zach Brown into firing Ricciardo. He absolutely embarrassed him. I mean, Lando embarrassed Ricciardo worse than Lewis did even Heikki Kovalainen, because that's the only person I could compare it to, because Bottas fared relatively well. That's how badly Lando embarrassed Ricciardo. So Piastri has a lot to prove. You have to remember, he sat out a year.
Yeah.
So he hasn't raced for an entire year. So now he's going to have to come in this environment and beat a guy who basically, beat the guy who they brought in to be supposedly be the new
I
team
still
leader.
believe that he has some leeway to work with, because I mean, he's just coming to F1 and it's Nando he's against. If he's 5 tenths, 7 tenths down, it's not the end of the world for his first season. So, because after all, the only person you have to compare him to is his teammates, and Lando is very good at the moment. So he will have, I think his second season is where the whole thing starts. The first season, yes, you can judge him on some of the reasons, but I think the second season is where you now have to actually judge him if he's fit for F1 like Sonoda is, but he's not. And
Yeah.
just
The thing is, I think for Piastri, what would be a good season for Piastri is if he finds himself in qualifying. For example, if he finds himself no more than maybe, if he finds himself 3 tenths off Lando
Mhm.
by the end of the year, that's a good
Yeah,
season for him.
it is.
That's a good
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
But he cannot afford to have a Ricciardo where sometimes Lando is qualifying in Q3 and Ricciardo is still
Get out
in
of
Q1 and
Q1.
Ricciardo can't leave
Yeah.
Q3. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Ricciardo finished qualifying 1 second behind Lando. That's just Piastri can't have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But like you said, his saving grace is the fact that he hasn't raced for an entire season. So you can kind of like, this season is kind of, for him, it's kind of like an what's the word?
Anomaly.
No,
No, no,
it's
no.
introduction to
He's going to get
yeah.
climatized.
Just
It's a year for him to get climatized with the team, the
Accustomed.
team, the cars, everything, and how a full Grand Prix weekend works. Because it's one thing to sit in the briefing rooms knowing that you're not going to be driving
yeah.
anyway. So but it's another thing though when you're actually there and
Yeah.
you're going to have to go out there on the
He
track
was
and
talking a
perform.
lot though, wasn't he? He was
Well,
talking a lot.
all Formula One drivers talk. Perez says he can win the championship. So
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
actually
and
said that.
and who's more deluded? Who's
You know
more
what,
deluded?
Perez. I'm sorry. Last year was an appalling performance from him,
Of
and I
course,
really think that's gone under the radar because
nobody wants to
he.
actually talk that he was absolutely shit
Yeah,
last
he
year.
was
You know
shit.
what? He had such a fast car, and you know what? Okay, Max has run away with it. Yeah, the least you should do is have secured P2 in the
Well,
championship. He's
Which
crying to
is
Max in the
which is
penultimate race.
which is why no one. Which is why when people talk about Bottas, I keep reminding people the lowest Bottas ever finished in a championship driving for
fifth.
Mercedes was 2018. And if you really analyze this 2018 season, his performances weren't that bad. He was just goddamn
Yeah.
unlucky. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
about he would have won Baku 2018. He would have won Germany. And let's be real now, and let's be real. I mean, we're Lewis fans,
Russia
but let's be
was
real.
it?
He would have won in Germany 2018 because
Yeah.
Lewis was on all the
Oh
on
yeah,
tires
I remember
compared
that.
to
I
him
remember
on
that.
brand
Yeah,
new
Yeah.
tires.
yeah, I
He would have
remember
won that race, right? And he should have won in Germany. No, Russia. So that's 3 races he didn't win that he should have won that year. He was extremely unlucky in 2018. So when people talk about, Bottas and so on, he finished runner up in the championship when Mercedes had the clear outright best car.
that. Mm-hmm.
And Perez, nobody wants to say it. Perez was absolutely shit last year.
It was
Dude, he almost not at one point he was closer to George than he was to
the Ferraris. That's a look.
to Leclerc in
Yeah.
points. Come on, he was getting beat easily by the Mercedes. That wasn't even it was the third best car, and you're talking about you had races where he literally was beaten by Mercedes on
On pace, yeah.
pace, pure pace.
Mm-hmm.
Perez is shit. Nobody wants to admit that the guy is bang average. And when people talk about, Perez the tire
It's the
whisperer, I keep
Minister of
telling you,
Defense.
it's a trick. It's a trick. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a trick.
trick.
It's a trick. It's a trick. 100%.
Because all he does, he drives at such a slow pace, right?
Yeah.
If the average lap time is a 1 minute 20, Perez is driving at a 1 minute 25.
121.
Or what? No, he's driving at a 1:20 21 or 1:21 and a 0.5 21 and a half. He's doing 21 and a half. Everyone is doing 20s. So by that time,
he preserves his
everyone
tire,
tires,
use it at the end
the
of the
key.
stint.
Exactly.
And
So how you know someone is good with good tire management?
consistent
If the
lap
ultimate
time,
lap
yeah.
time is 120s, they're consistently doing that 120 over the whole entire stint with very little drop off. And I don't like the dude because I despise the fucker. But if you look at Max's performance in Mexico last year, that's what you talk about when you say someone manages a tire for a whole entire stint. If you look at the variation in his lap times, they were no more than probably a tenth apart for the whole entire stint that he was on the medium tires for.
Mm-hmm.
Perez is garbage. I don't care what nobody says. He's garbage, and he was allowed to get away with getting all qualified by Max by half a second. I remember distinctly. There was a qualifying where he was about half a second after the first runs, and Karun Chandak said, Perez is half a second down on Max. Yeah, that's where about you expect him to be. And I'm thinking, sorry,
No
what?
way.
If Bottas ever qualified 0.3 off Lewis,
they would tear him to pieces.
But you know what? Yeah, that's probably what makes Max look so good as well. The fact that he's absolutely smashing his teammate to pieces.
But look, I don't like the dude. I don't like him. I despise everything about him. But I'm not that hateful to where I can't.
Okay, but is it possible? Is it possible, for example,
talent.
that the car was developed away from him? Because at the beginning of the season,
I don't
he was good.
I don't care how you develop that car. Perez is not better than Max.
No, it's not better. No, that's not even the call. You can't even argue that. That's not even an argument to have. He's not better. My point is the deviation, because at the beginning of the season, he was close, thereabouts. I know Max was having some blowout on his car. But
when you say close, what do you mean close? Because in the early part of the season, he had one pole where he picked up that pole at Imola.
Yes.
But when you say no, he didn't pick a pole at Imola.
He was on pole at Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, yes.
Yeah, but who was on pole in Imola? He had qualified Max in Imola.
Imola, I don't think so. No.
Yes, he did.
Max was on pole. Max was on pole at Imola.
Hold on, let me check.
Max won on the Friday, and then he beat Charles on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, Max won. No, Imola he didn't. And Max was ahead of him, Imola.
Okay, yeah, Max was on pole.
I think you're talking about maybe Baku.
No, Max was on pole at Imola, and Perez qualified P11.
Yeah, but Baku he qualified P2. I'm sure it was. Okay,
I'll check. But either way, everybody wants to give Perez this, I don't get it. He's not that special. He got shown up by a button in 2013. He wasn't that special. He was basically on his way out of Formula One until Red Bull handed him a lifeline. And the only reason why he got the Red Bull lifeline was because Gasly and all of them were basically fucking up, so they weren't going to get promoted.
Do you think in Monaco he
was wrong?
He done that on purpose.
Look, if he did, that's on him, man. That's him and Max to deal with. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But because it's kind of an odd place to actually do that.
Is it?
It's an odd place to do it.
Why?
I mean, if he wanted to do it, he could have. Because remember, his car got run into, right? Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to do something like that, wouldn't it have been like you come out the tunnel and you just basically lock your brakes up, or something that creates a yellow flag? But he basically turned his. You're saying he did that deliberately and turned his car across the track to get T-boned?
I don't think that was what I personally feel was he didn't do it deliberately, but Max wants to win Monaco, win all the races. He was already angry, so he.
Bradley Philpotts did a video about it where he basically said, he thinks he did it on purpose, and he did the analysis of it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's in Perez's nature.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he actually did.
No, he's not a dirty driver person.
Yeah.
I've seen him race Lewis, and he's
He
respectful.
races hard, but he
Yeah,
races
he's
fair,
respectful of the race.
and I can and I
Unlike
can I
unlike
can
Mars,
I can
you
respect that.
can't say the same of Mars himself because he's the one that raced dirty when it comes to Lewis. So I don't think Perez has that in his nature to do that. But yeah, that's just Mars being mad.
All right, hold on. What's it? What's this?
He-
What's that? Ibex, and then what's this? My guy's the fifth wheel. What's up?
Yes, please. Just to add to what you guys were saying regarding Paris, um, considering how many times Ferrari sabotaged themselves last season, because we're not even talking about that, you know how bad this guy is, right? But like you were saying, for some reason, Red Bull don't really want to talk about it
It's not
because
Red Bull that doesn't want to talk about it. It's the media that don't want to actually analyze it and give it and treat him in the same manner that they would have treated
Bottas.
an Albon or Bottas or somebody like
It
that.
means his
You know what I
driver,
mean?
yeah.
you know,
I mean, look at it. I'll let you get back in a second. Look at it. Bottas like I said, 2018 was Bottas's worst year in Mercedes. So he has consistently finished P2 or P3 in the championship. No. Did he finish?
Who?
Yeah,
Bottas?
either Bottas. He had,
Yes.
yeah, I think his worst year was 2017. Where did he
Fifth.
finish?
Fifth. Yeah.
fifth.
No, that was 2018.
Was that 20? Okay, 20. No, it was third. Third in 2017 was third. Yeah.
20, third in
Yes.
2017, fifth in
Then the
2018,
rest.
2019 he was
Second,
second.
yeah.
I think he was
Yeah.
second. 2020 he was
Yeah.
second, and 2021 he was third.
That's
So you're looking at Bottas' average championship finish in the time he was at Mercedes was basically second.
yeah. Yeah. Third.
Do the math.
Third,
Third.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yet there was an active champion to get him out of Mercedes. Not because they felt like he doesn't deserve a seat, but because they felt like it was too easy for Lewis. And what you're finding now is Max has a teammate that's basically is easy meat for Max, but no one cares. No one will say, you know what, Max needs to be challenging his team. No one's going to say that because everyone is happy with seeing
Mass
Max
winning. Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
dominate. Give Max a caliber. Max has never. I mean, I'm kind of deviating here in a bit, but when you look at Formula One history in terms of teammates, Lewis Hamilton and Alain Prost are the guys who've had the hardest set of
Quality
teammates their entire
teammates.
Formula
Yeah.
One career.
I just want to jump in. I know you want to go to the hand panels, but Brazil when George won, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I watched that race back a couple of times. I think Max done that not because of Monaco, but because of the race restart. So do you know when Max crashed into Lewis? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that back, yeah, I think Perez tries to challenge Max going into that corner.
So what's wrong with that?
So no,
it's a race.
Yeah, no. I'm saying. I'm not saying that Max is an angel. I'm saying that that's probably why Max was pissed off because he basically blocked the line that he would have taken to try and get past Lewis. So Max was forced to go around the outside, and then he ended up crashing, ruining his race. So I think he was pissed off at Perez because of that.
I don't think so because he was ahead of Perez, wasn't he? Ahead of Perez?
Yeah, he was ahead of Perez. But if you just watch it back, going down the straight, Perez looks to try and overtake Max down the inside. And that's what I think makes Max think, oh, shit, I need to go around the outside of Lewis here.
No,
And
he deliberately
Max,
didn't want Lewis to be ahead of him. He crashed
just watch.
It's something else. It's something else, man. It's really
Listen to me.
transmission.
Just watch it. Just watch it back. Just do me a favor and just watch back the restart, and you'll see where I'm coming from. And
Max basically just said this quiet part out loud that during his race, after all, he didn't win. That kind of statement. I can't remember the exact phrasing of it.
No, it's something else. It's something else.
Just watch it back and you'll see what I mean. How is he going to remember that far back in Monte Carlo?
Okay, hold on. Trust me. Trust me. He remembers. It's something else. I don't think it's that. Sorry, Ibex, go on.
Wait, what do you know that we don't know, Thanos?
What? I don't know anything. I'm not going to tell you anything. Ibex, go on.
Yes, so just to conclude on that point, so you're absolutely right. The media, they also, I think, there's this way they've always felt about Hamilton, and they make things so difficult for the teammate even when it's winning. Instead of acknowledging how good this driver is, they put the spotlight on his the other driver in the same machine, like they're not doing enough to challenge him, right? And when you look at what's happening in Red Bull, it doesn't matter how bad the other drivers are. Perez in question here, they don't put that kind of pressure on this guy, and they try that with George too. They always ask these ridiculous questions, just to like kind of like start something, and he's dealt with that very very well. At least last year, where they would ask him this ridiculous question, just trying to put him and Lewis in like crosshair, and they've tried to avoid that. But back to Perez, is other than being a fair driver, right? I don't know why they allow him to keep his seat last season, because it makes no sense at all. Looking at
Actually,
how.
for Red Bull, it does, because
Mhm.
if you're gonna replace Perez, who are you gonna replace him with? They literally have no one
Yeah,
else to
they
replace him
even
with.
yes, they
So
don't even
so
have the academy
so
driver
for
to take
Red
over.
Bull, for Red Bull, it makes sense. How the pairing is makes sense. But for us as fans, I'm more of the sense that, look, if you're gonna constantly argue, if you've been arguing for years that Lewis needs a teammate to challenge him, you heard Brundle say on evening commentary, Lewis needs a teammate to challenge him. Surely you should be saying the same thing for Max, because he has never the only teammate he had that could challenge him was Ricciardo, and we saw that now he's back at, oh god, that's embarrassing. Now he's back being the court jester for Red Bull, and basically they're just, when they need him, just going to deploy him out to go to some faraway places to do donuts for promotion and all that. So that's how far he's falling off,
Oh my
falling.
god. Uh,
He's falling off the ladder. So that's what I want. I want to see someone going in there and challenge Max, but we know that's not going to happen, because that's not how Red Bull is set up.
yeah.
And in some ways, that it kind of pisses me off, because you want to see challenge in all areas, not just you challenging your opponent, but let me see your
The
teammate push
status
you a bit.
this
Let's see what you
the
can do.
status quo is
Let's see what you
working
can do
for
if you
him.
have a
Yeah.
teammate. Let's see because how would Max have fared if he had a teammate
Look
like Rosberg?
like Rosberg, yeah, exactly. The point, the truth is, Red Bull would not allow it happen. That is the other part of it. They won't allow it happen. So
It's their
I don't
setup,
care what teammate Max has, even if it's Lewis, they won't allow it happen. They have to give him priority and everything else in that team.
which is why they didn't sign Lewis to Red Bull in 2011. But anyway, the fifth wheel, go on.
All right, hey.
What's
First
up?
of all, I'm not gonna let you get away with your little stab at Daniel Ricciardo. First of all, let me go ahead and say you're calling him a court jester. He's laughing at you getting paid $10 million a year
Yeah,
to go to the
he's
Super
getting the
Bowl.
money.
Dude,
We are
So
dude,
getting
dude.
first
the
of
money.
Okay,
all,
So
hold up, hold up,
show
hold up,
some
hold up, hold up,
respect.
hold up,
Oh my
hold up,
God.
hold up, hold up.
Second of all, no,
Hold
no,
up.
hold up. I'm
No,
going through.
no,
You talked a lot. It's my turn. So this is what I gotta say. First of all,
dude. This is my space. You can't tell me. You can't tell me about why. But look, I'm just commenting as a fan of the sport. You telling me, he's laughing, making how much money a year? Kind of
no,
stupid,
I
don't you
think he
think?
wants to. I
It,
think he wants to
who
be.
care?
If,
Why do you
can I
think I
finish my
care how much?
point?
What does
Can
his?
I finish
What
my
does
point,
him
please?
earning money have to do
Yes or
with my
no?
point?
If it's a no, I'm leaving.
You're free to leave.
All right, I'm
Nothing like
out.
I'm
I'll see
holding you
y'all. If you
here.
want a conversation about F1 where people
No,
get to
but you
speak,
can have a
follow me.
conversation. But
Take
if you're
care,
gonna
y'all.
if you're gonna make dumbass statement talking about he's making $10 million a year, laughing, Ricciardo don't even know who I
It's not
am,
even
so
about.
he shouldn't really give a
I think
shit
he
what
got the
I've got to
conversation
say.
wrong. It's not about the money. It's about what he's doing right now in
Exactly.
the
So why is he
sports. It's
telling
not
me
the
about
money.
Ricciardo making 10 million a year, laughing at
Alonso
me?
is Alonso,
Ricciardo don't
Alonso
even.
is
I've
making
met him.
millions too, and then what? He's driving. I don't. It's not the money. It's just the position he's found himself right now in the sport. He's come to full
I hate
cycle.
I hate people. I've actually met Ricciardo. I think he's a nice dude, but I hate stupidness like that. Oh, he's making so
Yeah,
fucking what? Who gives a shit?
they try to make it about money. It's not about the money. It's about where he is right now in the sport. He doesn't even belong to the
And
sport.
where he is
Yeah,
right now, he's where he is. He's a court
yeah,
jester. That's what he is. He went from being someone that was being touted as a possible world
yeah.
champion to now basically being Max's backup boy.
This guy was beating Vettel consistently. Then
You beat Vettel, you were beating Max,
Yes,
then you
and then you
left
left.
and went to Renault
I
for the
have said
money,
that
then you left and
consistently.
went to McLaren for
He
the
did.
money, and then you got
I don't care
fired.
what they
And now when
told
you
him
went
then.
back,
I was against him
come
actually
on.
leaving Red Bull at the time. But he felt maybe Renault was going to be a better place for him to.
Yeah, because Renault was a factory team.
Yeah, but then again, it's not
And
Renault as a factory team. What has he actually done? That's the question. So
yeah,
I think leaving Red Bull was the wrong thing for him to do at the time.
of course it
It
was.
was the wrong thing. Yes, I
Of
said
course it
even
was.
before
But in
now.
some ways, you can understand why he
Yes,
did
yes,
it
of
though,
course, of
because at the
course, of
time,
course,
the dynamics was
yes, of course,
was
yes,
shifting in the
yeah.
team. He realized that the team was moving in more Max's
Even
direction,
when Max
so
were
he was
doing
going
the
to be
wrong
left on the
stuff, they
outside
were
looking
blaming
in.
him and
So
everything.
do you want to stay in that
Yeah.
environment, being on the outside looking in and being happy that you've got a car competitive car,
But yes,
but
not
you
enough.
know deep
Yeah,
down that they're not going to actually give you, you're not going to get the sort of support
the
you need
environment wasn't
to win a
enough. Yeah.
championship. So I think that was his thinking why that's why he left,
But he's that,
because the
and that,
dynamics was
that's what
changing.
makes the entire coming back a little bit ironic now because he's coming as a reserve driver for the team, and
It looks. I don't know why people don't
it's
realize how bad
it's
it
just
looks,
wrong, man. I would have preferred he just
because
go on a sabbatical like Alonso did then for
And
1 year, not even come to the sport, go and rest, do something else.
and the thing is, if he hadn't left in 2018, he'd still be there now. He
exactly,
he would have still had a seat
Yes.
there right
Yeah.
now. Now he's there doing simulator work,
Yeah.
yeah,
and basically when they need someone to go, as I said, some remote place to run an old car to do some promotion. That's what he's going to be doing. He kind of like, dude, come on.
and honestly, when you leave the way he left, you don't
That's
come
the
back.
point.
I don't
Exactly. Why
I
go
don't
back?
Yes.
care. I don't care how much they
But then
pay
again,
you.
but then again, Alonso left McLaren anyway. So
Yeah, that was
That's a different one,
it
man.
was
That
crazy.
guy. Yeah.
I never actually would. I think at the time McLaren was just desperate for someone to help them develop their shit.
I can't believe Homeboy just threw a hissy fit.
He just ran. He left.
Mama got Mama threw a full on hissy fit. Well, if you're not gonna leave it, well, I'm gonna
I'm gonna
leave
leave,
then.
man.
Like,
The guy says,
nigga, like it's an open. I didn't tell you to come here. You're free to leave. I'm not. You're not in a prison. I didn't lock you in a
I think
prison.
the way he framed it, I can understand if he were. I thought he was actually joking about don't dish on my guy that way, but he framed it around the money thing, like he's any money you're here. I'm like, it's not about the money. That's not even the question. The point that
Yeah.
he's in Red Bull as a reserve driver for Red Bull. Oh God,
It's a fall from
it's
grace.
a
He got fired
huge
from
fall from
McLaren.
grace.
He was so bad at McLaren, they literally paid him off and said,
Yes,
dude,
yeah,
no, we
they paid him
rather
off.
keep you another year. We'd rather
We'd
just
rather
swallow
just
this
get you out of this
20,
seat.
20 million
Yeah.
Mhm.
and bring someone else in and pay
Bring
this. We
a
don't want
rookie.
you.
Bring in a
Just,
rookie to replace him.
we don't need, no, you were that
That's
bad.
how
It
bad he was. And
Mhm.
we could see it in the numbers. He was bad. Like bad.
was
He was
embarrassing.
embarrassed. At some point, I was just paying for him. He used to be a good driver. I don't know. At some point, he just
And
lost interest in the sport. That's what I think.
Yeah,
you know what, you know what,
something
you know what the
happened to him.
Ricciardo situation proved? Because, and I've always said it, when people, Formula One commentators and fans in general have this tendency to see someone who comes in the sport and they have a one season that one
One
hit
hit
wonder.
wonder, yeah.
So they have a one season where they perform so well, and they immediately start saying, "Oh, this is a future world champion." You're like, dude, that's not exactly how this shit works. You can't just go around branding everybody a future world champion, because that's not how this shit works. And they build these people up,
No, in all
right?
honesty,
And
in
and
honesty, you
and they
can
start to
see.
believe this. They start to believe this thing in
No,
their
no,
head
no.
that, yeah, I'm the shit.
In his defense, you can see a driver drive. You would have an
Mm-hmm.
inkling that okay, this guy is good. When Mars first showed up in Formula One, you could sense some point in future this guy, if he has the car, he can do certain things. And Ricardo had that same trait. Some of
I don't think
no, he
so.
did.
I don't think
Some of
so.
the
Because if you look at the races that Ricciardo
yeah,
won, right? With the exception of Monaco, when did he win
that
Monaco?
was 2000 and is it
18?
18? What- When
Yes,
he
it
had
was
a
18.
deficit.
He lost it in 2016. Vettel won in 2017. He won in 2018. Lewis won in 2019.
Yeah, he won it. Yeah,
And
2018. That was it. Yeah, he won 2018.
yeah, so he won it in 2018,
Yeah.
right? If you look at the races that Ricciardo's won, most of them have come at the result of somebody else having a failure. His first race, remember, I believe the first race he won for Red Bull was Hungary 2014. What happened in Hungary 2014? It was a wet
Yeah.
race. Lewis' car catches on fire in
Yeah.
qualifying. Mercedes used the wrong tire strategy. They went for, when it stopped raining and they went to the
Intermediate. Yeah.
slick compounds, they went for one stop. They put Lewis on a two-stop, a one-stop, and Rosberg on a two-stop, which is kind of dumb given that Lewis had more tires because Lewis didn't do qualifying, so he still had his full complement of tires available to him, brand new tires that they could have used, and they probably would have won Hungary. So his first win was Hungary. Was it
Yes,
Hungary?
it was Hungary.
No, it was Canada.
Did he win Canada? That same year?
Yes, he won
Yes,
in
yes,
Canada.
yes. He won Canada.
He won it.
Yes.
Yeah, he won in
his first,
Canada.
yeah, his first win was Canada when they had the brake failure. Lewis had the
Yeah,
brake failure, but
Rosberg had it too, but he was
nursed
managing
it.
his own.
And
Yes, 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 yes.
exactly. So that was his first win. He won 2008. He won Canada. He won Hungary in 2014. He won. How many races did he win?
In 2014.
How many races did he win in his career? I'm trying to remember, because if I remember how much races he won, I can tell you where he won them. Let me just check something.
Yeah, I knew he
Let me
won
just check
Canada
something.
that 2014. He also won.
He has 8 race wins to his career. All right, so the first one, he won Spa 2014. What happened in Spa 2014? We all know what happened in Spa 2014.
Happened in Spa
2014.
2014.
Rosberg,
Oh,
Lewis,
yes.
Lewis. He won Spa 2014. He won Malaysia 2016. He won Baku in 2017. I'm trying to remember what happened in 2017. 2017, that Lewis Vettel coming together. Lewis got Vettel got the 30-second the stop go penalty. Lewis had his headrest coming loose.
Yeah.
He won China 2018. How did he win China in 2018? The late safety car. He was nowhere in the race. I think he was P6 or P7 in the race until the late safety car, where they ended up pitting. He had fresh tires. Lewis, Bottas, and I can't remember who else didn't pit. So basically, he got that advantage and he won. He won Monaco 2018. We know all that. That was probably his only outright win where he was basically, you can say he won that without any.
Yeah, where it's Monaco.
Someone else having
he was down on power
someone
in that
else's
race
misfortune
most of the time.
Yeah, but he qualified on pole,
yes.
so he won that. So he won that without anyone else's misfortune, and he won Monza in 2021. And we know why he won Monza 2021. So if you look at the 8 wins he has, only one of those he has actually won where he didn't inherit that position because of someone else's misfortune.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about the race win now, because the Red Bull at the time was not in a position to win races the way Mercedes was dominating. My point was, his general racecraft at the time, you can see that it was good. His overtakings were on point, they were clean. And he can.
Yeah, but his overtakings tended to be, again, this is another thing. His overtakings tended to happen when he had a tire advantage over the person he's overtaken.
It's not just it's just a tire advantage where he preserved his tire to that point to be able to do it.
When the person he's overtook, they were on much older tires to his fresh tires. If you look at his pass on Kimi in that everyone raves about in Monza, it was the exact same thing. His tires were pretty much brand new compared to Kimi's dead one. So Kimi had to lengthen his braking zone. Ricciardo didn't.
Yeah.
It was the same thing that happened in China. If you look at it, but you know what? Maybe I'm just a hater.
Yeah, you're just a hater. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. I hate everybody who drives for Red Bull.
Honestly, though, I don't think so, because when you look at the other driver in the team, when was the last time we've known Ricky to better the other driver? I don't remember that.
No, when he had the car at Red Bull, he basically turn Vector into a statue in Red Bull, basically, most of the time. So then even Mars, he was beating Mars actually when they brought Mars in. He was beating Mars. You can say Mars was still.
Yeah, he beat Max in
Yes,
he beat Max in
yes. So
2017.
you could say it was his rookie season.
And in 2018, before the deal was announced that he was going to Renault, they were pretty much neck and neck. And once that deal was
They
announced,
just
that car
sabotaged
did
his
not
car completely.
just
Yeah,
started to have
everything. So
every
he's
single
not.
issue you could think of.
He had some disappointment. Those are the times I actually thought, okay, this guy, if he has a good team around him, decent enough, he would be able to
I
perform.
don't know.
But unfortunately, something just happened. I think he's disillusioned with the sport, considering I think he expected himself to be in a better place by now in F1, and when that didn't happen, it just kind of messed up his own
Yeah,
entire
but
mind
but
about it.
he's where he is because of his decision.
Yeah, you live and
He
die with
made those
them. That's
decisions.
true.
So his
In a
disillusion
way,
with the
yeah, it was
sport
his.
isn't actually the sport's fault. He made it's kind of like an Alonso
Yeah,
thing. He made bad career choices.
bad career choices. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Well, actually, you can say they're bad career choices because leaving Red Bull to go to
Renault.
Renault was not the best. Didn't make
It
any
didn't make
sense
any
because
sense. I don't care whether you're
Renault
a
hadn't
true.
shown
Yes,
anything up until 2017 to say, yeah, this team is on
on
the
the
rise.
rise.
They
Yeah,
showed you
there was
nothing
nothing on the
whatsoever.
board.
So why would you think
Yeah, I think he just
it makes
wanted to
sense to
get
leave from
out
them?
of Red Bull in his mind, and then Renault had an opening for him, and then he just dived right through it. It was really the
Yeah,
money
like I
because
said,
they
I
were
can
paying him
understand. I can
tons of
understand
money
this.
to actually come to the team. So,
They paid him more. They were paying some I think they were paying him more. If I'm not mistaken, I think they said, yeah, I think Renault were paying him more than what Red
well,
Bull
yeah, of
offered him,
course, of course.
or they were paying. I think they were offering him the same amount, but he decided to go to Renault instead, which again doesn't make any sense. But you can understand his thinking because at the time you could see the dynamics within the team was shifting. It was going towards
I
Max.
think if it was now, he wouldn't make that kind of decision. That's what I think. I think he felt genuinely that maybe other teams were coming to the fore. He could go to Renault, a works team, and then probably perform there. But the truth was that the Renault's engine was useless at the time. There was nothing in that engine that
Yeah,
was.
so there was
There was
nothing. Renault
nothing.
hadn't
They had
shown anything.
exactly. So
Anything. They
it
showed
was a boneheaded
no
move. And
signs to say this was a team that was on the up and up. So let's go over there and see what they can do. I think he was trying to see. Let's see if I can do a Lewis.
yeah,
It didn't work.
everybody thinks. Okay, well, Lewis did it. Maybe I can also try and do it too. But you're not
Yeah,
Lewis,
but
so
I mean, look at McLaren's gone backwards since Lewis
that
left. So I don't
team
think
doesn't even know what they're
he
doing.
doesn't have that sort of luck. All right, hold on. Who's it? What's this? Eric, what's happening? Welcome to the room. You want to say something, Eric?
Rick is on mute.
What's with the awkward
I
silence?
think he's on mute. He
I
doesn't
don't
know
know
he's
if
on
he's on.
mute.
Is he?
Oh,
Let me unmute him and see if he says anything, or he's probably left. I don't think he's on mute. He's probably left. I don't know. He's probably doing something else. Probably making dinner.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. All right. What next?
Yeah.
We've been rambling on for how long? Oh shit! We've been here for nearly 2 hours again, Keith.
Yeah.
This 2 hour thing isn't.
Well,
You're lucky it's a Friday
yes,
night and
Friday,
nothing
so
else
it's
to.
weekend. I already factored that into this conversation before I started.
Yeah, but I still would like my Fridays. But anyway,
Next week, by this time
that's
next week, we'll be talking about
no,
the
dude.
end of.
No, dude. No. Thursday next week we'll be on Twitter. We'll be on Twitter
After,
Spaces complaining how the
do you know
Mercedes
the order?
pushes it like
Have they
hell.
released the order? Who's going to race first with Lewis and George? I don't know.
They're gonna split
Yeah, I
votes.
know, but I think the same day. Who's maybe morning and afternoon?
I figure it'd probably be George that goes
First, Lewis
first.
goes in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think because if I remember last year, George went first.
Then Lewis
So I
came in the
think
middle of
Lewis
the
might.
okay.
Yeah, I think George might go first. But then again, who knows? Lewis might decide he wants to do it first, which means he'd finish testing early because they each get a
They
day and a
swap it
half.
over, so the first day, second day, then you repeat what you did again the other previous day, basically.
Yeah, so each person get half a day because
Yes,
3
that's
days.
how
So you have to
Mercedes
give
does
each
it. Yes,
person
yeah.
a day and a half in the car. So,
It's
but at least the good thing is they're broadcasting it on Sky,
Oh, they broadcasted it on
So
Sky. Ah, okay.
yeah, all 3 days.
That's good.
But fortunately, I'm in my office on Thursday, so I'm
You
gonna be.
sneak and watch them. You just sneak in and watch them.
Yeah, I figure. Oh no, I can't. No, because I'm in a. Oh God,
I can sneak
I'm in
and
a
watch.
different location of my office. I'm in a different building next week,
Ah,
Thursday.
okay.
So
My own, I can just put it under my browser and just be watching from the one. And
yeah, but I prefer work from home. But I'll catch up. I'll catch it when on. Definitely will be watching it Friday and Saturday though, which is going to be interesting
yeah,
because boy, like I said at the beginning, Kingsley, the first sign of porpoising on that Mercedes,
the
God
knives
help
are
it.
out. They're going to be
The knives
crazy.
are out.
What I'm going to be looking at is the top speed of the Mercedes. I know they don't turn their engine up or anything like that for precision brake. I'm going to be looking at the top speed and what the car does under braking, for example, because the W13 was a harmful under braking. In fact, that car should be the original diva. It doesn't respond to the input you're putting into it. It just does things on its own. Lewis actually said it has its
That
own
car is a
mind, kind of.
demon.
It just does things.
That car
Yeah,
is a
but
demon, man.
Yes, a demon. It's
well,
possessed.
well, you know what? It might be turn out to be the best car Mercedes design because it could be the
W13 or 14?
yeah the 13 because it could be the one that basically lead them down to a path
Okay,
to
I
another
laid a
path of
foundation
domination.
for them
So
to build us, kind of. He like the sacrificial
exactly, so you
lamb for
can
them.
so you can look at it like if they progress beyond Red Bull this year, then you can say, well, you were a good test bed. You led us down the
They should
right
all
path.
fire it off as a burnt offering somewhere. Car
Yeah,
doesn't
Man, I
they
bring
should
out.
have been,
saw, I
but
remember the last test in Bahrain, and I saw that car twerking. I was like, "Fuck!"
the
Initially, the first
last
day, I
test,
was actually
it
thinking
was
it was the
twerking from the
wind
first test.
because when they come out from that last corner, and the wind, the direction of the wind there was actually a tailwind, so you could see it. And like, okay, maybe it's the wind.
But
Yeah,
Kingsley, it was twerking from the first test in Spain
yeah, but it wasn't that
when it had the
Oh
obvious.
whole.
yeah,
It wasn't
that's
that
true.
obvious.
But it
Yes,
was
it was.
fast
What?
No,
though.
it was very obvious,
It wasn't that
Kingsley, because
obvious.
every car. What?
No, it was.
But it was
It was.
fast in Spain.
No,
It wasn't fast
the
in Spain.
Barcelona test. It wasn't that. It was
Yeah,
Bahrain that exposed the W413.
yeah.
No,
Bahrain
it
was
got
really
worse
bad.
in Bahrain, but it was there in Spain.
Yes,
You could
in
see
fact,
it in
most of
Spain.
the team had purposing in Spain, but they could manage it. And that maybe because of the nature of the track, you could actually. In Bahrain, the desert wind was just blowing them everywhere. You could see the
I
W13
don't
just
even want to
lost
think
it.
about this, man.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
But I don't foresee that happening
No,
this
no,
year.
no. If it
I don't know.
happened, then
I just
somebody's got to leave in that Mercedes.
I just have a, I just did you see that? Did you see Rihanna when they did the Super Bowl, the halftime Super Bowl thing with
No.
Rihanna? You see those people in the white thing running out.
Ah,
That's how people be running up to bracket and Brixton. Like, yeah,
we,
you got
we are
we're
coming for
coming to
you.
lynch
Yeah,
you
we're
because
gonna protest
we're
this.
not
Yeah,
having
you
that
can't do that.
again. But like I say, I mean, it could end up be the W13 could end up be the car that actually, you know what, start off another era of domination.
What?
Because
I,
I genuinely don't see them building a car as bad as the W13 ever again this year.
yes,
I don't
I agree
see
with
it.
you. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
see it.
Yeah.
Because again, they've said that they've got a lighter chassis now,
yeah.
and just by dropping 2-3 kilos, you basically gain 3/10 in performance from just a lighter chassis
The weight loss.
alone.
Yeah.
A weight, because they dropped some weight last year, but the car
Was
was
he
still
heavy? Yeah,
heavy.
still
So
heavy.
if they're able to get it even below the minimum weight limit, which is going to be very
Hmm.
difficult because they've increased the they've increased the weight of the ice. I think it's gone up by an extra 10 kilos.
Oh,
It's in the regulations that the ice has to weigh. I think it's 105
it is
kilos.
now. Okay.
It has to weigh. I can't remember the exact number. So if they manage to drop it below it should be
Yeah.
798. If you can get it below 798, then you can play around with ballast,
Yes, you can.
right? But I don't. But even so, I mean, you can say they've gained 3/10 just by having a lighter
And
chassis alone.
what tells me that they were actually at the precipice of that weight platform was that they have to actually remove the painting from the car. That means there were no other places they could actually save weight again. So it has to be, let's get the penalties out of this car so we can save some few kilos from there, basically. And in a way, it makes the car looks mean when I saw it, and I kind of like it.
You know what? I don't buy that BS about they decided not to paint the cars just so they can save weight. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
How much weight does the paint weigh?
Oh,
Yeah.
from some estimates, up
Yeah.
to
How much?
three, anywhere from 3 to 6K, depending on the painting and the materials you're using. So,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
On
yeah,
average, 3 to 4.
that's a
Shit.
lot
Well
of
then,
Yeah.
weight.
okay,
Yeah.
So
okay. Then if that's the case, then I can understand why they
Oh,
would drop
yes,
yeah.
that. So
yes,
yes,
yes.
so you're talking about so paint and the lighter chassis, they've gained six
Just,
tenths of
yeah.
performance. Is that what we're trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then cool. Okay, I mean I can live with
Yeah,
that.
they
I
said
can live with
they
that,
said it. Just,
provided Red Bull
I,
don't
I
gain
genuinely
anything at
believe they
all. Then I
wanted to
can live with
go
that.
with the silver color, right? So when you consider what you're going to gain weight wise, it was an easy decision to make. They've already used the black paint before, so it was just something they could have.
And they mentioned from 2020 that they weren't going to go back to. They were always going to go back to
Silver,
silver,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, but that silver card,
Yeah, the
just
W13, they
didn't
didn't
work.
want the
You
demons to
see,
follow it, so they had to
they say
banish the demons.
they say when you go black, you never went
You
back. They
never
went
go
back, and now they
back.
have to go back black. Yeah, but they have to
They
go back
never,
black again
they
because
never go
they
back.
realized they went back and it didn't
It
work. So
didn't
let's
work.
go back to black.
Let's go back to black, please.
Black worked for us the last two
What?
years. We can't have it again. So, but I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm somewhat optimistic about this
No,
year. I
no.
think it's going to be
Honestly,
a better year.
my optimism is coming from my belief in the team, not anything I see in the
Yeah,
data or the car I'm seeing on screen. Because I believe that the
me
team
too.
had actually sat down, dissected this car to the molecular level and say, okay, this is what the mistakes we're in. The W13, if we can correct them, this is the inherent gain we would have gotten that year. So I think on some level, it is basically what the W13 would have been if this was the car that we were bringing to Bahrain last year, and then you build from there. That's what I
Mhm.
think. But with more correction being put into it after what 2022, 23 races of the year, so they have a lot of data points to work with. So
Look, you don't win 8 championships by being full by
yeah,
luck.
no, no, not at all.
You don't you don't
These
win
guys
that
know
you
what they are
don't win
doing.
that
Yeah,
many by luck. You have to be very
and
diligent
good at
in the
what
way
you
you
do.
approach
Yeah.
things. You have to have a good team around you,
Hmm.
and they have the right people in the right
Yeah.
places. So I just think it's going to be better this year. How much better? Definitely better than last year.
Definitely better than last year.
But
I personally, I think
yeah,
it's going
but
to be a whole lot better than we are thinking. That's my own personal thing because some of the feelers I hear from when they're talking is basically, yeah, well, we'll see where we are. I think they learned from last year with all the my team don't make mistakes stuff that Lewis was saying.
yeah, but you
There's
know
a
what? I didn't see anything wrong with that statement.
Oh, just yeah, hubris. A lot of things wrong with hubris. Hubris always have a way of
I don't.
humbling you sometimes. So.
No, but I don't. But is it hubris?
Yeah, it's
If you've
hubris,
never made a
arrogance.
mistake,
It's
if
borders
you've
on
never made
arrogance
a,
and support.
is
Yeah.
it? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, is that
No,
or is that just
you can't
confident
say
based in
it
you?
was a new. First of all, it was a new. I remember the question vividly the way it was framed. It was a new regulation, and the question was, what happened if, for example, Mercedes doesn't get it right with the regulation and whatnot, and then he said. He could, as you said, well, yeah, it's possible. Those things are some of the things. There was one interview this guy did, James Allison, and he was basically saying with the new regulations, it's an opportunity to show whether you got it right or wrong. And sometimes you can get it wrong. Believe me, you can do that. But we try to make sure we cover. James Allison actually said that. And I remember that interview very well. But Lewis didn't. So, in a way, he came to define the entire season for Mercedes and the W13.
Yeah,
My team doesn't make
but
mistakes.
here my thing. Here
Mm,
why I say I don't
yeah.
really have a problem with the
Mhm.
statement. It's a matter of showing confidence in your team, and your team has never demonstrated made any sort of mistake for you to think that now they're going to make any
Yeah.
mistake. So I can understand where his mind, his thinking was coming
Yeah.
from when he made the statement. And when Toto said everyone has a target on their back, and people like, I'm like, what's wrong with
Mhm.
that? Literally, everyone has a target on their
Yeah.
back because it's a brand
It's
new
a brand new
season.
season.
You're starting from zero, so everybody is your enemy. You want to destroy everybody. So you're not going to be singly thinking, "Oh, I'm not going to pay." No, it's a brand new season. But I guess
They
given
learn
that they
from it. So
performed or they
going forward, so
perform.
most of their statements now they are all tapered down. They are cautious now. They don't want to overpromise. I mean, there was nothing to actually overpromise because Red Bull's in the leading position. So they're just trying to, calm down, bring everybody down to earth, and then we see what happens. It's just a week time from next week.
That the same mechanism that gave us the W11 gave us the W. God, you see, God really does have a sense of
That's
humor.
that W11.
Trust me.
It
Yeah,
was different.
God has a sense of humor because there's no way God could have given us the W11 and then decided He's going to give us the W13.
Yeah,
It had to be a joke. He felt like he just had to laugh because that just, I mean, just
it should have.
it's unfathomable.
Yeah, and
That's the word. I
the
think that's the word.
W13 was. I have nightmare of that car, and I didn't even drive it.
But you know what? I'm glad they did what they did by putting it in the foyer at a team building.
So
So
you can see
it's a
it reminds
reminder.
you of
It's a
what can
reminder. So
happen if
every
you
time
don't
you
do your
walk through the
job.
door, you look at it
Yeah.
like you
You, I'm
what
thinking
happened.
if I work at Mercedes, I will be putting stones in my pocket. Anytime I come there, I will stone that guy. What? Did you
Exactly. I'm kicking the tires every time I walk through the
what did
door.
you do to us?
I'm kicking it every
Oh
time
no
I
no
walk through the
no
door.
no
I'm just gonna
no.
kick it just for kicking its sake. And just so I'm glad they did that because it's a reminder.
Yeah,
It's
what
that
can
they're gonna
happen
look
if
at
you're
that
not
as a
so
reminder. It's like, yeah, this is what
what can happen?
we don't want
Yes,
this.
it reminds you.
Yeah, this is not. We don't want this back here
Yeah, your
again.
resume.
The next one we put here should be a
You
winner.
should
We
say
don't
I
want this.
designed the W11, not 13. W13 was okay, it's a placeholder for
What's his
W14, hopefully.
What's his name? What's his name? Is it John Owen, the designer for
Yeah,
Mercedes?
is that his name? I know it's
No, the
Owen.
Owen.
Okay.
No, Owen. I know his surname is Owen,
Yeah.
and I mean, he must be sitting there thinking, "How the hell did I come up with DAS
That thing.
and all of these things?" And I built this
Um,
piece of.
oh, no. I mean,
Yeah, but again, I guess, the numbers were there, the numbers were right.
yeah,
They liked the
yeah.
numbers, but then
The real
again,
life,
unfortunately, no one knew of
it
porpoise, and
wasn't
no one
showing up
thought it was going to.
anywhere.
Exactly, because remember, Red Bull were having the same issues until they brought the
Upgrade,
upgrades to
yeah.
Bahrain, and that basically changed them.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Helmut Marko, he was like they were very concerned whether or not the
Will
upgrades would
work,
work.
yeah.
And they were fortunate that it did work because if it didn't work, they were pretty
It
much
was
kind of in the
the,
same
the it
boat,
was the Bahrain
but they were
test.
slightly
It was
better
the
off.
Bahrain test.
Yeah,
The second test. Yeah, Mars was the one that drove
And
the car.
you know what pisses me off the most? Considering end of, I believe it was 2020, 2021, where we stopped developing the car to focus on 2022,
mm-hmm.
and then we came up with this shit.
Yeah.
It was just you couldn't but help if we had continued to bring upgrade. Could we have avoided what happened in Abu Dhabi
No,
overall?
I'm not.
Nah,
I'm not going
nah.
to blame them for that. I'm not going to blame
Abu
team for that.
Dhabi is Massey and Massey
They did
only.
everything they did everything right to win.
Yes.
They did
Well,
nothing wrong. They did everything right to win. The
yeah.
the win within the regulations. They did everything right to win with it. They didn't lose within the
Yeah.
regulations. So I don't. So when people, I've always said when people talk about, oh, if they carried on developing the car, they would have avoided. I'm saying, well, if you say that, you're kind of making excuses for what Massey did.
Yeah.
In some ways, you're vindicating his
Yeah.
actions because you're blaming Mercedes by saying you could have avoided this if you had done this. But how would they have known
Mercedes
that he was
developed
going
the
to do
car
this?
enough to win the
Yeah,
championship.
you're absolutely
Exactly.
right because what Massa did basically changed the rule book. The rules were very
Exactly. They
simple.
didn't know. I
You know.
mean, there were 12 seconds, 12 seconds in the lead with 8 laps to go.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
decision they
Any means
made,
all.
the decision they made not to pit was based on
Mhm.
their reading of the
Yeah.
rules regarding the
Rules. Yeah.
safety car, their understanding of the
Yeah.
rules. Massey was aware. Massey didn't somehow forget the rules. He knew the
I
rules.
always say
He
I,
He knew
I
the
demonstrated
always
it
rules.
say this.
multiple
If
times that he knows
Mercedes
the
has
rules.
pitted Lewis, I am very
Yeah, and the
convinced
rules were very
that
simple.
race will
And I
end
think
under a
the
safety
idea of
car.
people just trying to explain it away as if it was
Uh,
something complicated, any means all. If you
No,
say to
I
bunch,
don't. You I don't know unless someone else started watching Formula One that day. They're the only people you could actually try and convince that what was done was within the
Yes,
regulations.
the point. My I
yeah, you're absolutely
I
right.
think
Because even last season, every time I see a safety car,
We've seen
I have
races. We saw
flashback.
races end last
On
year
the
under the
safety
safety
cars,
car.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, you know,
And it's not just last year. We saw in 2020
In
races,
previous, yes, in previous years,
2020,
yes, yeah.
2019 races. I mean, barring 2019 and 2020, finished on the safety cars. Michael
yeah,
Massey in the Eiffel Grand Prix in 2020, when they asked him about the safety car, literally came out and said, look, he couldn't bring the safety car in any year earlier. From once the safety car message rule is in place, it has to be run to the full
Yeah.
and he has to abide by it. So to now come out and say, oh,
No,
this rule gave him authority to do this, we all know it
it
was a
was a
lie
it was a hard
because
it
the
was a
rule
yeah,
lie.
it
says
was
Yeah,
a lot.
it gives him overriding authority to the clerk of the course in regards to something to do with
The
if the track was
the
clear or not.
deployment of the safety car itself, and not when the
Exactly.
but you
safety
know,
car is
yeah.
already in progress. You
Go
don't
ahead.
have
Sorry.
rules over that. There's no provision. I
Yeah.
still believe
So
that even if
I don't want to. I
Mercedes,
don't want to hash over
yeah,
it. But at the end of the day, we all know what happened. Everybody knows what happened was against the
yeah,
rules. Everybody
Yep.
knows he was cheated out of it. I mean, it. No, there's no amount of saying, "Oh yeah, but yeah." No, you can't. We're not
yeah,
stupid. We all know the rules.
Oh,
We've been
yeah.
watching the sport long enough. We've seen it because the safety car was first used. I think in Formula One. I think it was 1974. The first safety car was used in Formula One, and in that time,
this was the first time.
no
Yeah,
shit
they
like
had
this,
to change the rule.
has ever happened. This was the very
Yeah,
first time we've seen something like that. So to try and
Ever.
convince us otherwise, it's just kind of
Mhm.
like, come on, we're not stupid. Please
mm,
don't take us for idiots
it
because
was,
we're not idiots.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, and the idea of them saying, okay, when that supposed report come out and they gave the recommendations, they're like, nothing really
nothing
changed.
changed.
Yeah, man.
Nothing
And they said
really
it was
changed.
it was human error. I'm like, human error, my ass.
Human
And the
no,
funniest and the
human
funniest thing
error.
is, yeah,
Human error is when you accidentally drop mix uh, a red socks with your white clothing. That's an error. You're a trained professional. He wasn't. The thing is, the race was stabilized. It was under control. He wasn't being, there was no. He had enough time to do what he needed to, and he was even the biggest culprit that
It was
weekend.
the
He
stewards. It was
wasn't.
the stewards.
The
The
yeah,
stewards were
stewards. They
the
had
biggest
you're
culprit that
had the
weekend
absolutely
stewards.
right.
because there was no pressure on them from anyone to make
Anyone?
a decision. Because remember how long it took them to disqualify Lewis from qualifying in Brazil
It was
2021?
immediately
It took
24
us a
hours.
seconds.
second.
No. 2021 Brazil, Lewis did not get disqualified until the
The
following day.
before the
Just before
yeah,
the race,
yeah.
right? We had no idea what was.
He got disqualified before they did the second practice. Because remember, you had practice one qualifying, and then on the Saturday you had FP2, then you had
The
the
sprint
sprint
race.
race.
Yeah.
So he
Yes,
got
you're right.
disqualified going at the start of FP2. So it took them 24 hours to disqualify, right? For something that they basically admitted in their report that there was no evidence that Mercedes tried to cheat and that the parts had actually, the car left the garage, the car was legal. When it came back, it was illegal. And it was only one side of the wing that was out by 0.22 millimeters. So they agreed that basically the part broke while the car was on track, but they still disqualified it. In Abu Dhabi, the stewards had enough time for them to sit, go through the rule books, and make a ruling and said, you know what? That was not basically that lap will be voided and the race result will be taken from the end of the
The
last
previous
fully
lap, the
completed lap in
penultimate
the
lap.
race, which
Yeah,
would have been lap
yeah.
57. But the fact that they upheld this rule and then agreed that he had overriding authority, knowing damn well he didn't, they were more complicit than anybody else
Yeah.
in what he did.
I've-
It's like me committing murder, and the judge knows that I committed murder. He was there when I pulled the trigger, and he then says not guilty.
yeah. I honestly, I
Whose
And
honestly
words?
believe that
yeah.
whatever
And you know what
Mercedes
else we
did
don't
that
talk about?
evening,
And I know because
they
you
would
said
have
it
still
doesn't
been.
make sense
If
to
Mercedes
continue
has
to go
pitted
on about
Lewis,
this.
that race would have
Even
ended on a
if
safety
you
car
Okay,
or
have
wait.
vice versa.
Troy talking at the same
Yeah.
time. Sorry,
Oh.
two of you talking at the same time. Go on,
I was
Kingsley.
saying that if Mercedes had pitted Lewis, for example, I genuinely believe that race would have ended on that safety car. That way, he will lose.
Yeah,
So whatever Mercedes do or didn't do that day, Marcy has already decided this is the direction he wants to
look,
go. So it does not even.
I challenge anybody who comes and talks about Mercedes. If Mercedes had done this, if Mercedes had developed, I don't give a shit. They didn't. They did everything within the
By the
rules
books.
to
Yeah.
win and to win fair. They did not lose because they didn't follow the
Yeah.
rules. They lost because the rules were changed
Manipulated.
at the last minute to rob them of
That's it.
something. They did because if you listen to Bono's radio message to Lewis when he said to Lewis, when Lewis asked, should I have not pitted, and said, Bono said, no, looking at the track won't be clear for
Yeah.
long. So basically, we'll be
On
finishing
that
on the
safety car,
safety car.
yes. Yes.
Mercedes made the decision not to pit him based on the
Yeah.
rules and analyzing the situation and realizing, yeah, it's gonna take longer than needed to clear
Yeah.
this up. So we're not gonna pit you. By the time they clear this up, it's again they judge it to perfection. It was cleared on lap 57.
Yes. So the safety car was supposed to complete that entire lap before it comes in, which will be the
And
final
that's
lap.
it. Exactly.
Yes.
The rule
I'm
of the
gonna
safety
leave.
car is once you say
The safety car is coming in.
all lap car
It's going to
coming in
complete
this
that
lap,
lap.
the safety car has to do a
Yeah,
full
full
lap,
lap. He completes it and then comes in.
and then it comes in.
Yes.
So the race, so by the time the safety
That would have
car
been the 70,
finished the
60,
lap,
58th
it would
lap.
have been 50,
Yes, the
58.
last lap.
And you can't overtake anybody until
The safety car.
till the
Yes.
start finish
Yeah.
line. So basically the race
It's finished.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
I'm gonna
So
leave and come back. I can't hear Kingsley.
all right, cool. So the whole thing, look, and like I said, Kingsley, it annoys me when I hear people say, "Oh, Mercedes should have done this.
No.
They developed
I
the
don't
car
subscribe
more."
to that at all.
It
No,
doesn't
it doesn't.
matter. I
It
don't
didn't matter
subscribe.
what they did that day. There was a plan in place to make sure Lewis doesn't win that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you literally by saying that you're vindicating what happened.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
saying you could have prevented this. How could you have foreseen
That.
that this was going
Yeah.
to happen?
That the law will be broken, be
You
written.
went into a
Yeah.
competition on the basis of that the people who are there to referee the sport will do so fairly.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do it fair, then you no longer have fair
It's
competition.
not.
And that wasn't a fair competition. That's not fair. That's not a fair sporting
It
competition.
wasn't.
So it annoys me when that year people were saying, "Oh, Mercedes should have developed the car if they had done." No, I
actually
don't
don't
care.
believe the people that says that they send them from in good faith. They just want to blow up because that car, Mercedes developed that car enough to win the championship. That is
He was Kingsley. He was 12 seconds ahead.
exactly.
He was 12 seconds ahead with 8 laps remaining. Max's dad was on his way
Out of
out
the
of the
stage,
circuit.
yes.
Max literally gave up.
Honor said it
He
will
knew
take a
it was
miracle. I
over. It
remember
was
Honor
dead.
came on and said at this point it's going to take a miracle for them to win that. There's nothing there, but they can't catch Lewis. Honor said it's
Pity
live on air.
and then Massey turned up like Moses at the
Yeah,
Red
he
Sea.
parted it over for them to just walk. No.
So and that's why 2022 hurt so much.
Yeah, I can't.
Because I wanted them to come back in 2022
So
and just
desperate.
absolutely wipe the floor with
So
everybody.
desperate.
And the fact that didn't happen, and then we had to sit and watch
The Red Bull
that
dominate the
motherfucker
season and win it.
and watch him lap Lewis in Imola. Granted, we know why he lapped him in Imola. That just like
It was the lowest point of Red. No. It was painful to watch.
It was painful to watch, and so that's why I understand people's frustration last year and why this year people's frustration are going to be even
way off. Yeah, they would
worse.
They won't cut
worse
Mercedes any slack if they don't perform this year.
If Mercedes don't perform this year,
no.
That's 2 years of frustration.
I don't.
frustration.
I don't think Louis. I don't think
it's gonna come out. I don't think Twitter is gonna.
I don't think Lewis will sign a new
Mercedes.
contract if the guy is not performing.
Nah, I think he's gonna do it.
Are you sure?
He's gonna do it. Yeah, I don't think he's.
These guys are racist, man. They like the fight.
No, but I think Lewis seems to be a man of his word. He said he's gonna do another. he's gonna stay around. So I think he's still gonna be here, but this is definitely will be his last contract.
yes,
After this, he's done.
he's
After this,
getting out
it's
of the
just
sport.
2 more years. So you're talking about he's gonna finish in 2025.
2025.
Give the rein,
Not
give the rein to somebody else going into
so Lewis is not doing the new regulation in 2026.
No, I think he's done. He's done in the 2025. I don't, because I mean,
But we are assuming
he has
it's
other
a 2-year
things. He has
contract. Is
other
there
things.
anywhere that stated it's going to be a 2-year contract?
Yeah, because in his last couple of contracts is all
He could just say 3,
has been
including
2 years.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
they probably give him a 2+1.
Yes, 2+1
with an
exactly,
option for
just for the new car development thing, so we know he's.
But I think, but if you look at the last couple of contracts they've
yeah,
given
it's
him,
just
been
2
2 years.
years. I know, 2 years contract.
So I genuinely think once that contract is signed, he's done, and then he's moving on because he has set himself up outside of the sport
has nothing
once he steps
him,
away, once he steps away, there's no need for him to come back and hang around like
Jensen
the Jensen
Buttons
Buttons
Cruz.
and the Ricky and all of these guys. He has so much other interest outside of Formula One that he can dive head on into that he won't feel the need like, oh, I need to be back there. Because remember, he has said it. He said once he leaves Formula One, he's not coming back.
Gone.
And he'd never do punditry because he doesn't like when ex-drivers talk badly about young and upcoming drivers. So that's why he's not going to do the whole commentary shit.
And I think the other thing we also need to consider is Lewis is 38 years old.
Exactly.
He's not young.
And I don't want him to do an Alonso. That's the thing. I don't want him to hang around just driving
but
because
the supposition is that he's going to be driving for Aston Martin. He's driving for Mercedes. If the car is quick, Lewis will perform. That guy's aging backward. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah, I know. I
don't know.
I want him to sell me the super serum. I want to buy I need him to bottle that super serum.
He has to do it
and sell it because
whatever regimen he's doing, he has to sell it because a lot of people.
Real life Benjamin button that is the vegan Benjamin one.
Man.
It's the real life vegan Benjamin button. But I don't know. I genuinely think I see him. I think this is his last contract.
I'm with you.
I just feel like he's gonna say, you know what? Because you can only motivate yourself so much every single year.
No. That guy, the well
forward.
of motivation he draws from, I think is endless. Because I don't think any other driver can do that.
I'll give you the mic in a second, Rim.
Yeah.
All right, go on, Rim. What's up?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. We're just here Friday night chat.
Yeah. I was just worried about I'm not worried really about Lewis, but I'm more worried about the team, especially if we have like a title contender car this year. I'm more worried about Mercedes favoring George Russell instead of Lewis,
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
You think?
Yes.
I think for that to happen, Lewis would need to fall off so badly that they have no choice.
Had no choice,
We saw the second half of last season, the moment they decided, okay, Lewis, you can drop the hankers now. We're going to pull the hankers in, that we're going to cut that hanker that we've had on your back since all this time and let you loose. Look at his performance from Canada to the end of the season. The only person who scored more points than him, if I remember correctly, was Max. It was the only person who scored more points than him. I could be wrong. But he was in the top 3 point scorers from Canada to the end of the season. He had a run of 5
podium
podium? 5 straight races podium finish. He literally showed George Russell that
if this car is
still
lit,
that dude.
we are not in the same league.
I'm still that guy.
Okay. I do hear what you're saying, but all of the social media activity, especially on Mercedes's part, we only see the majority of the posts are George Russell, and to be honest, it annoys me a little bit, but at the same time, I'm maybe it's their strategy of favoring the younger and newer bloods, and maybe it will be the same thing on track this year if, like I said, we have a title
Mercedes have generally not have that favorite driver tag, so they would rather let the driver race. Even when Bottas was there, even Nico Rosberg, they would allow them to race until such a time where the second driver is way off the points, and they say, okay, you know what, you can start
I
supporting.
mean, look at
Yeah.
Brazil. Look at Brazil. They literally, George was asking them, "Are
We
we racing?"
racing?
And they're like,
Yes. Yeah.
you're going to
But clean.
race.
Yes.
Who you think this
Yes.
is? We're not going to let you just like what, Lewis? If you can pass him,
Passing.
pass him
Yeah.
and go win the
Exactly.
race.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. And I think, and you see, and to me, and this is what I respect about with Mercedes. It's a matter of we're going to give you the exact same equipment. You go out there and let the best, may the best
But then
man win.
again,
It's not a
you can
case
say
of
that about
I'm going to
Mercedes. I think it
handicap you.
speaks volume about Lewis himself too. Because if Lewis say I'm the number one driver here, Mercedes will actually follow him on that. But Lewis is the kind of
You
driver
know,
that will say no. I want to do my talking on the track, so he will just do that. So
definitely, yeah, definitely.
himself.
if you look at, if you actually look at it, right? If Lewis had been at the sort of favoritism,
Mass.
the likes of
Yeah.
Max,
Yeah.
Vettel, and Schumacher had, Lewis would have probably been sitting on 9 championships
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He would
I
have
do
been
agree
sitting
with
on, and I tell you what, in some ways, I'm kind of glad that
He did it.
Ross Brawn left
Yeah.
Mercedes, because I think had Ross Brawn still been at Mercedes, that's exactly
What would have
would have
happened?
happened.
Yeah.
Because they brought Lewis in. Lewis was the final piece of that puzzle.
Yeah.
They brought Lewis in to win championships. And if you remember in Malaysia 2013, Rosberg, Lewis had an alien
Yeah.
car. And Rosberg was one on better time. And Ross Brawn said, nope, you're not going to pass him. And Nico kept begging, and Ross was like, Nico, hold position.
Yeah.
That's it. And I genuinely believe that Ross Brawn still was at Mercedes,
That's the way
he would have adopted the same principle that they had with Michael Schumacher. And in some ways, I think that would have tainted Lewis's
titles
legacy.
Yeah.
It would have tainted just as the way Mike Schumacher's legacy is tainted, in the sense that we all know every single one of Schumacher's teammates were lambs put in front of a lion to eat. And not only that, that lamb wasn't.
He wasn't even given the
to
same
run free.
equipment in some places.
He was chained up. They chained that lamb and said, for the lion to just eat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The lion didn't even have to work.
Yeah.
He just walks over and just bites its head off. That's it. And I think, I'm kind of glad that they kind of like let Lewis up. Look, and Lewis has said it himself. Look, I don't care. All I'm asking for is you give us
the same equipment,
fair treatment. If you give us the same equipment, if you go, then you beat me, you beat me. End the story. Which is why I don't have a problem when some people talk about George beat Lewis. Okay, shit, he beat him. At the end of the day, it's sports.
Yeah.
That's how it is. You're going to win some and you're going to lose some, but his record is still far superior.
Okay.
He's what?
George has just one win, and Lewis has 103.
No, not that. In terms of teammate battles, he's only ever lost his teammates 3 times, and people use that as some form of blight on his career, but it's not a blight on his career. Look at his teammates.
Their teammates, yeah.
Again, I'll go back to it. If you look at team drivers who have had the strongest set of teammates in their career, Lewis Hamilton and Alain Prost.
Yeah.
When you look at it over their career, they've always had pretty much the best of the really strong teammates. Nico Rosberg is not.
No, he's not slouch.
We may not like the dude, but he's no slouch.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Jensen Button, we may not like the dude, but he's no slouch. He's still good. He was a world champion. Right?
Yeah.
Again, of all Lewis's teammates, the weakest teammate he has ever had was Heikki Kovalainen.
Yeah.
The weakest. If you rank Lewis's teammate in terms of quality, it's Alonso, Rosberg, Button.
Bottas.
I'm putting Bottas before George, then Heikki.
Yeah.
And you have to commend him for that, because he has never once said, I want
number
to be
one.
Number one. Give me preferential treatment. Because I don't like the idea that if he's good enough to beat that person, why you need to handicap the person?
Yes.
It just seems.
It doesn't even instill performance, because then you're actually measuring yourself against yourself and not your teammates. So you don't even know if you can actually beat your teammate. Because if your teammate is beating you, it forces you to raise your game a little bit higher. And then if it's just you're going to be handed the position, what's the point of doing anything? You just sit back and watch it roll.
I agree. I agree. But like what you were saying like a few minutes ago about his contract, you said that you think it's his last contract. Were you talking about his current contract or
No,
the one
he
he's
wants
gonna
to sign.
sign?
The one he
The
wants
one
to
he's
sign.
going to
Yeah.
sign. He's on his.
Okay.
He's on.
Yeah.
This is his last year of his current
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
So he's basically out of contract next year.
Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah, I do agree with that. I think he's gonna race for like maybe 2 or like 3 years maximum, but like can't race until he's like 45 and pull an Alonso, you know?
Yeah, he's not gonna. I mean, I don't want to see him do an Alonso where he's
Yeah,
just
me either.
just going to any team, knowing that you're not gonna win anything there.
Alonso doesn't have a
I
life outside of Formula One. That's the reason why he's sticking
Yeah,
around.
no, I just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I don't understand why he's
Yeah.
still around. Like, I don't
I'm,
see him winning any championships any soon. You know,
Yeah.
it's just embarrassing for him. You know, so
It's really.
yeah.
but people saying he's still able to perform.
No,
But
no. They
was
said
it?
he has he
What
finally gone to the place where he would. I'm like, what
what's he gonna
exactly?
do? He's
Life's
not
not
gonna
what you
win
actually
any.
treated.
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin, what are you gonna do
Look,
there?
I argued last year that I think Aston Martin made a mistake signing him. They should have gone for someone who is young as Lance Stroll.
Younger.
Younger, exactly, because at the end of the day, they're investing something like 300 million in improving the facilities at
Yeah.
Silverstone. So you're
Yeah.
building towards the future. Alonso is 41 years old.
Yeah. I think
So he's a
He's just
short
here to
term,
take what he wants to take. Exactly. He
yeah,
just wants.
he's a
Yeah.
short term solution to your
well,
long
he
term
has
goals.
experience that counts.
Yeah, but how did that experience help McLaren? How did it help Alpine?
McLaren,
The same with
It
Vettel.
didn't do anything
yeah,
for them.
but you
The
got
same
the
with Vettel.
investment.
You
Yeah,
know.
the investment that Pin is putting in place. Aston Martin is putting in place. I don't think you can compare that to that thing.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't.
so
But
they needed.
again,
I think Vettel leaving was the arbiter of everything because they needed someone. They can't just put if Lance Stroll was a different driver, they would have gone for a rookie straight away.
I think you guys give Lance Stroll a bad rep simply because of who his
Yeah.
name.
Not because of
I
I
come
think
agree.
on. It's not
look,
because
I
of
think
it.
I
No, he's
think
not a
By the
bad
way, are you seriously
driver.
telling me that Lance Stroll?
Kingsley,
Yeah.
We've seen Lance Stroll when he has a good enough car, how good he can
Against
drive.
who? Against who?
I mean, did you look at his drive in Turkey
Who is
2020
his teammate?
prior
Who is his
to
teammate?
Perez? Look at his drive. I mean, his drive at Imola at Monza in
Those are
2017. I
flashes.
mean,
Flashes. He's not consistent.
that's
He's
the
not
point. But that's the point
consistent.
I'm trying to make. But he doesn't have
But
a
his
But like,
car
car
that's
is not
consistent.
consistent.
I think
No, the car is not the problem. Okay, look, you can definitely put your car.
You can't say the
No,
car is
what I
not
mean
the
by it's not the problem is
problem.
this. So you, for example, the Aston Martin that was performing, what was that? Was it 2020? 2020 or 2021? The pink Mercedes.
2020,
Yeah,
yeah, 2021
21, yes.
2021.
and
21,
20,
yes. Was it 21 or 20?
yeah,
I think it's 20. It's not.
2021, I think.
both
No,
years,
I think
So
No,
both
the
years.
main one, the first year was 2020. That was when they actually did copy and they were facing some challenge.
Yeah,
That car, you would think that that car was at least the top three, top four, top five guy on the grid. But you don't get that from Lance Stroll. He
Kingsley,
performed one of those
uh,
races and then he goes hide. If you have a
Kingsley,
car, yeah, if you have a car that can put you consistently in 10th place and you are 15, 20, 20, 18, once in a while you're on 7th, you're not consistent. The only reason Lance Stroll, I'm not blaming him. His father owns the sport. So the only reason, if my father owns a Formula One team, I would want to drive, even if I don't know how to drive. The point is, if his father doesn't own that team, Lance Stroll would be like Nicolas Latifi or
I
whatever.
don't believe
I
so.
mean,
Nah, nah,
he's
nah,
not
nah,
as
nah,
bad.
nah.
He's not as bad
Latifi
as
is
Well, not
just
that
a
bad, but my
different.
point, he wouldn't
Yeah,
have a
but
seat
Nah.
in
I'm
Formula One. That's what
sorry.
I say. He wouldn't have a seat if his father doesn't own that
Okay,
team.
So
but like
Kingsley,
Formula
Kingsley,
Yeah, yeah,
Formula.
Kingsley. Yes,
hold on, one at a
this is
time.
my question for you,
yeah.
and this is hypothetical. If you ask 20 Formula One driver, ex Formula One driver, to
Yeah,
give you their best 12 driver on the grid right now, you
yeah.
think Lance Stroll is not going to make that list? I
Top
would be
12.
surprised. Top
Top
12.
12. Uh, I don't know. I think his longevity in the sport definitely puts him in that position. But I think if he doesn't have a benefactor, he would have been a has been in F1 too before now. That's what I think.
But then Kingsley, remember we talk about Sonoda, that Sonoda is basically still in Formula One
Exactly. That is
because of
because Red Bull. Red Bull.
it's ties to
Honda,
Honda.
sorry. Yeah,
But
Honda. Yes.
it's ties to
Yes.
Honda. But you're saying if Lance Stroll didn't have
The dad factor.
that whatever.
Yes.
But if you look at who you think deserves to be in Formula One more, Sonoda or Lance Stroll, based on their performances?
Right now, you are judging Sonoda based on 2 seasons, and you're judging Lance Stroll based on how many
Yeah,
seasons.
but if you judge Lance Stroll on his first 2 seasons, who you think deserves to be in Formula One?
Yeah, you could still say Lance Stroll decides to be Lance Stroll. Yeah, he has more record than Sonoda. That's fine. But my point is, if do you genuinely believe that if Lance Stroll his father doesn't own an F1 team, that he will be driving for a team right now?
No, I do
No.
believe that. I don't believe he'll be in
Exactly,
Formula
he will
One.
not be in Formula One.
But
But I don't begrudge him of
then
it.
again, but he's there.
Yes, he's
But
there.
he's
I don't
there.
begrudge him of
But
it. I'm
he's
saying,
Yeah.
there, and he's there.
yeah.
He's there, and
You
you've
can't take
seen
him
No,
him
no,
out.
no, I
put in
can't.
Yeah.
I'm
and you've
not
seen him put
begrudging
in
him. His father owns
performances.
the place. What I was saying
He's
is,
there, and you've seen him put in
if they have a
performances that you
different
can say,
driver,
okay, there's talent
if they
there.
have a different driver to Lance Stroll, they wouldn't need somebody like Alonso to come and partner him. That's what I think. They would have gone for a rookie, for example, to just join him up and.
Look,
I don't agree with that. I think, like, for example, you saw like Vettel came into Aston Martin with all of his experience and everything, and it didn't really bring anything much to it. And like Thanos said, they are investing towards the future. So I don't think taking a 40-year-old, how old is Sebastian Vettel? He's 30. He's like 32, 34. I don't know.
No,
Like,
no,
anyways, like he's
I think
older
Vettel
than
is
the
what,
others.
36 or
36? I
37,
think
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
36.
Anyways, my point is like he's older than
Let
the
him finish.
others. He's older than the
yeah,
others. He's been here ever since 2007,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think. And replacing him with another old dude with the same amount of experience in championships that isn't gonna do good for
Okay,
their
look at
team
it.
and what they're trying to
Look at it
build,
this
you
way,
know?
Rim. So if you have a team that is building into the future. They have the resources to do it. Would you rather want the rookies to help you to build that, or somebody who has had experience in the sport to help you pave the way, and then bring in a rookie? I don't see
But
Alonso.
Kingsley, but here's the problem.
Logically, I would take like someone more experienced. But like I said, they brought Vettel, and it
They
didn't bring
didn't,
them
yes,
anything
but they didn't have
much
that
or anything
investment
more.
on that vector. This is when the
Yeah,
investment is coming in. Yeah,
but at the same time, you also have to look at that
I
person you're
agree with
bringing
you.
in. What's his track record? Okay, he has
Yes.
experience, but what's his track record at other teams that he has
You
been
can't.
at?
Alonso is a toxic human being. I agree with you on that. But you cannot take
How,
that away from his
but
experience in the sport. He has driven for some of the best team in the sport. He would at least bring.
No, you can't take it.
Yes,
Yeah,
you bring one or two things for a team that is trying to build from scratch. With that kind of investment, there's at least one or two things that Alonso would bring to them. So if Alonso was available, there was no reason not. If
but
Alonso
like,
wasn't available, I don't think they would be moving
yeah,
heaven and earth to go and get him. But if he was available and then you have a choice to put him or a rookie there, it would be malpractice if they didn't choose Alonso. That's what I think.
I don't know.
my point is,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go on, Rim. No,
No,
go
the
on,
thing
Rim.
is, like, he was at Alpine, and from what we saw and what the report said is that like Esteban Ocon was doing all of the work in the sim and everything. So I don't know if he's gonna do the same thing in Aston or just come and take what he can take and just go like he did with Alpine. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think that's his goal. You know,
Yeah. I understand what you're
I don't
saying
know.
because
But
Look,
I do
Kingsley,
believe he went for the money too. So, but let me get to
I just think the angle I'm coming from with this Alonso to Aston thing is that you're looking to build a team for the future. You're investing towards the future. Bringing in a guy who's 41 years old to, I don't. It seems to be like you're expecting short-term miracles. You're not going to get that. You don't win overnight in Formula One,
No, you don't.
and you're
But
not
you
going to
can
win in 2
develop the car
years.
that will base the foundation to win in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but 2 years from now, they're going to change the cars.
What the experience, the learning from this development will not be in vain. So I don't think. I don't
But the
think they
cars
will
they're going to
renew his
use, but
contract.
the cars they're going to use in 2026 won't be any. I don't think they're going to be anything like what we see now. They're coming up with a brand new set of
It's
cars again for
mainly
2026.
the engine that is changing. Not I don't know about the.
Yeah, I'm sure. I read something that there's going to be some change to bodywork because they're talking about making the cars smart. They're going to be putting in mandatory
Recovery.
dimensions,
But if you are
in
taking
terms
away
of
the MGUH, for example, that's a lot of space to put some other things into. So I think those are the things that will change. But it's mainly about the engine that's supposed to do. I don't think they are moving away from
yeah.
the ground effect design kind of, but it's just the engine that they're moving.
I don't know. I think Aston made a mistake. I think they had the opportunity to build with a young
So, for
nucleus.
example, which driver would
And
you have preferred them take?
I said Djokovic, and they've literally signed Djokovic as the
Is
third
this,
driver.
yeah, that was you just imagine that. So
Djokovic dominated one
yeah,
F2.
you have to.
I think he's a good driver as well. I think
I don't
they should have gone with him
think it's
instead.
a bad driver. I
Rather,
think considering the options that he have, I still believe Alonso was the best for them. It's just for the short term, really, just to get off the ground running. I don't think they are going to
Do
renew his
you,
contract to continue another term. It's just this short term, and that's it basically. And then from there,
Kingsley, do you think they're gonna pull a Michael Schumacher and Mercedes like when they did,
no,
like
no,
when
no,
he
no, no,
came
no.
to help?
Alonso was not for maybe they're going to win races or league or the league. No, no, none of that. They want to have
Mm,
a base for a car for the future, and I think they believe that Lance Stroll on his own cannot give them all the feedback they need to do that with all the investment that is
yeah,
coming in.
obviously.
So they need somebody who is come. If Lewis is 50 years old, for example, and then there's a space open in
Mm.
one of the team, and then he wants to race, you think most team would want to bring him back because that knowledge of the game, the race, the sports, you can't buy it elsewhere.
Mm.
Djokovic can't give you that. He can be fast if you have a good car, but to develop that car to become a quick car, you need somebody. The option I think it was a low hanging fruit for them to pick. Alonso was
yeah,
available and they
but
picked him.
Kingsley, Djokovic can give you a different perspective because Alonso is bringing the same thing that he has brought everywhere else. Djokovic is going to bring you something different
Yeah, I remember.
because Alonso
Do,
is giving you
do,
the
do you
same
remember
thing he
when
gave
Lewis
to
came to
Alpine.
Mercedes? What he did when he first came to Mercedes? When
What
he
did he
came
do?
to test drive the car, and then he was telling the mechanic what was wrong with the car, basically.
I don't recall
Yes,
that. I don't recall that.
there was.
No, I don't recall that. I think he said one of the first things he did was that he said he was having trouble
Do you remember
with
that
the car
article
and
from?
he made a
What's
change
that
of
article from that guy that was?
lowering his seat.
You what?
I think he said he was having trouble and what he did was he basically lowered his seat by something like 2 millimeters, and that changed everything for him. I don't think he was having a trouble. I don't think he told them what was wrong with the car because you can't technically say that was wrong with the car. It's just that it's
How
just
to
not what
improve? Okay,
he
let's just
likes
how
in
to
a car.
improve the car. That's the point I was trying to be like. Okay, these are the things
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
do to this
no,
car.
he told basically,
Yes,
yeah, he told them what he wants from his car,
and
so
then that improve
for it to
performance.
go
So
fast,
if
and they just gave him what he wants. So you can't say he came in and he told
no,
them
when I
what
say
was wrong
told
with the
them, it wasn't
car.
like he was dictating what to design. My point was, he can only do that from experience. Like this is what I've
Yeah,
done before that worked. This is how it was done, and let's see if we implement this. It should
yeah,
work.
but he also had to adjust and to a different way of working, to a different team of how they work and how they do things. So it wasn't just him alone that gained that. He had to learn from them as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not a one-way street. But look, I'm just going on the basis that I think it's kind of a short-sighted solution for a team who's looking long term. It just seems to me it's just like your goal is to be successful in the next 5 6 years. Build with that. Build around a
You can
young
experiment
nucleus of
2 years.
driver.
You can experiment with 2 years out of the five.
No, you don't have. Yeah, but that 2 years of experiment could put you back 4 years.
Or it could set you back for 9 years into the future.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
gamble.
well,
It's a gamble. You don't know it's going to pay out.
it was
You don't know it's going
the
to play out.
safer
But
bet for them. I think was Alonso than Djokovic.
yeah, it was a safer bet because again, you know, it's Alonso, but
He's a
the guy.
two-time world champion for crying out loud.
Yeah, dude. The last
Alonso
time
is also a
when
rat. Let's just call it what it is.
the
He's a big
when
win.
Alonso the last time Alonso won a championship, Lance Stroll was probably what 5 years old.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean,
the last
he's a two-time world champion. That just kind of mean that was.
he's
I mean,
if you are counting what the people who have won the title, you will count Alonso on the grid. So
yeah,
that's
obviously
I
you're
mean,
going to
I
count him, but he won those championship a decade and a half ago. I mean, he's done now. He's a spent force. Yeah, he's just
yeah,
keep
he's just
driving
driving
and
for money.
he gives you the odd good performance. But at the end of the day, this is the same guy that Jenson Button said purposely would retire his car even if there was nothing wrong with it whilst he was at McLaren. So
Yeah, because the
I don't
McLaren
know
was
that.
just dead.
Yeah, but you purposely retiring the car. There was nothing wrong with the car. You just decide I'm going to
Yes, you
retire the
could
car.
drive around in
That's not what you
cycles.
want.
Yeah, with the motivation was not.
So
Guys,
you talk. I mean, the Williams were poor cars, but the drivers
They
still
didn't.
drove them
They didn't
till
have.
the
They
race
didn't have
finished.
a two-time world champion driving for them. So
So because you're a two-time world champion, you should just retire the car, even though
two-time
there's
world
nothing wrong with it.
champion
What
drives
about the
for
people? What about the
the
work?
best teams.
What about the people who put
guys,
work
guys,
into
guys,
that?
guys. I think Ibex wanted to say
Okay,
something.
go ahead.
oh
Oh,
yeah, thank you. So I was just gonna say, I think sometimes we pay too much emphasis on this idea of like old drivers and the experience. We have to look at the personality because when you look at what Alonso, what he's done to the team he's been at when he's not happy or when things are a little bit tough. If we're saying okay, he's a safer bet, Alonso is actually not a safer bet because if there's
Mm,
anyone who is going to betray a team and not lose sleep over it,
I agree.
it's
I
Alonso.
agree.
Let's just call it what it is.
That's what I said. That's why
It's
I said maybe he's just here. Like he's here to take what he wants to
I
take.
think
It's
okay.
not for
It's
him.
obvious
Like
that
if he
you guys
doesn't get
don't.
what he wants to take,
I am not Alonso's biggest. I don't even support him at
you
all. I
know.
don't like him. But the point I was making was, if the choice was between Alonso and Dragovic, I think if it would be malpractice if you didn't choose
No,
Alonso,
obviously not.
irrespective of all
you
of the
you
things
can't
that you can count
you
against
can't
him.
even trust Alonso to help your driver grow. Let's start from there. If you're going
Actually,
to
he
bring
helped Ocon. He helped Ocon win a race.
I'm not talking about winning a race. I mean, help a driver grow.
What does how does you? I don't
He's
understand. Help a driver grow how? That's not his
by
job.
not creating
His job.
by not
His
creating a
job is to
toxic.
give
Well,
feedback.
mm-mm. If you're
You
saying,
can we
if
can
you're saying,
stay here and argue about the work environment that Alonso creates.
Yeah.
It's well documented that he has a toxic work environment with other driver or teammates. That's fine, but it's okay. Those things are valid, but at the same time, you cannot diminish the experience that he has in the sport. And for a team like Aston Martin, who is building a new team for the future, and they will want as many input as they can on a car that they are designing, you would want someone who is experienced enough to give you that kind of feedback, as opposed to a rookie who cannot even give you some of those things that you will need to design a good car. If are they going to give Alonso another 2 years after this? Hell no. They're going to bring in the new person. But in the imminent moment, for the now, I can see why they would take Alonso over any other rookie to take that position. That's just my
yeah,
You
opinion.
guys,
but Kingsley, but Kingsley, you're working on the assumption that a rookie can't come in and actually do as just
yeah.
as good a job or even a better job than what
I
Alonso
mean,
did.
absolutely,
look at
thank you.
Alpha
Yeah,
Tower.
but no, that is who?
I was thinking
And
about
no,
like
no, no. I
Alpha
don't think. I
Tower.
don't.
Alpha Tower.
Yeah, you out there. You're doing. You know what you're saying now,
Yeah,
Kingsley. You're doing exactly what Alonso did in 2007
that's
by saying why are you bringing in a rookie? If you want to win, why are you bringing in a rookie? That's pretty much what you're saying. You're saying no, go for experience over a rookie because a rookie won't be able to do this or or lead you in the right. You don't know that they have to
Yeah.
start somewhere.
yeah, but I don't.
You have to start.
What?
You have to give if you don't give someone the opportunity to learn and to gain experience, they'll never gain any experience. So you have to start somewhere. So if you can start with a fresh sheet of paper, a rookie, and you guys said okay, because remember, a car isn't the way a car is developed. It's developed to a driver's needs. So you can't just develop a car that you think, oh, this is the best car to develop, and you're just gonna have to come in and just drive it and get the results. No, you have to kind of like develop it around the needs of the driver.
So Mercedes designed
And
the
what
car around George, for example. Is that what you're saying?
no,
Exactly.
George and
The
Luke,
car is already
no,
quick
Mercedes. Okay,
enough,
hold on,
and then they
hold on.
just
I
bring in
remember
a
I had
new
this
driver to
conversation.
slot
Hold
him.
on, no. I remember I had this conversation with somebody on here. Mercedes builds racing cars.
Yeah.
Other teams build cars.
No, you
And
can't do that.
hold
You
on.
can't do that.
Oh, no,
You are
Hear
trying
me
to
out. Hear me.
separate.
Let me finish.
But
Let me
Bottas came
finish.
to Mercedes,
Let me
and then he
finish.
was
Let me
quick
finish.
because the
Let me
car was already
finish.
designed.
Oh my God, Kingsley, let me finish. Let me finish. And that you're proving my point. Mercedes is able to build a racing car that another driver can come in and perform with. Other teams, they build cars that basically it's specific. Not everybody can come in
Let me
do
just
that
ask you
straight
this
away and
before you
drive that
continue. Let me
car.
ask you this: why was Lewis doing all the testing for Mercedes last year, and Russell was driving the car?
Because again, it was George's first. They literally explained that
No,
it was his
it's because
first
he
year.
has the
Oh,
experience. The experience. He's the
oh,
one that can give them the
oh,
feedback on the new
oh
part you're
my
putting on the
God!
car.
I
That
do
is
have
the
to agree.
reason.
Kingsley. George is new to the team. Lewis has been there since 2013. So whose output are you more likely to take?
You take
Whose input are
Lewis.
you more likely
you
to
are
listen to?
then you're arguing my point for me. So let me give you this.
No, I'm not
Well,
arguing
okay,
your
okay.
point for you because
Let me even step
no,
back
because
a bit. Let me step back a
I'm
bit
not
for you.
no. Let me finish. I'm not arguing your
Okay.
point for you because you're talking about Alonso coming into a new team.
Yes.
He's not. He wasn't already
He
there.
has
He's
the
coming into a new
experience
environment.
in F1.
Oh my
He has
God.
experience.
Yeah, but Lewis, your comparison with Lewis is on the basis that Lewis was already there. He's been there. He's
Why do
seen the
you
whole.
think, for example, Bottas came in 2007, was it 17, and then yeah,
17.
he was on pace right away with the car. I mean, he was new there also.
Because again, Mercedes builds racing cars. They build cars
Yeah,
that
exactly. Now hear me out. That racing car you're talking about is being developed by somebody with experience in the team, and that is Lewis and Ross Prague and Co and
Kingsley,
whatnot.
but you're not arguing your point because we're talking about Alonso. You're saying bring Alonso in for his experience, and you're comparing him to what Lewis. Lewis was already embedded into the team.
Alonso is
Alonso
already
is just coming through.
driving in Formula One for
Oh my God! Oh
decades.
my God! Never mind.
We
Kingsley.
cannot
Never
agree on
mind.
this one, but I have my
We're
reasons.
not going
I
to
don't
agree
like
on this.
Alonso one bit, but I can see why Aston Martin decided to go with him for now.
I'm not saying I don't understand the reasoning. I'm just saying from my point of view, I would have gone if I'm looking long term, I'm going to get somebody who's going to be there for the long term whilst we're going to help build us from the ground upwards. Alonso is coming in. He's a short term fix. He's a Alonso is not going to win you a championship at
They
41,
are not
42,
winning
43.
championship.
So
That's
I
not
don't
what they
care.
are here for. They're not telling you they want to
So
win championship.
if your goal is in the next 5, 6 years, you want to be a race winning team, a team that's
You want to
regularly
have a
competing.
baseline car to do it.
I'm gonna build with a young nucleus. If you look at any sports, if you look at major most sports team, they try and build with a young nucleus of players. Look at the successful Man United teams of the Fergie era. Who was the nucleus of that team? David Beckham, Paul Scholes. They transitioned from the Palisters, the Bruce, the Cantona with a young nucleus of players. Paul
You are
Scholes, Beckham,
comparing apples and
Giggs.
oranges.
Never mind.
Let's not do
You're not
that.
getting my point. Never mind. All right, Dr. Jelly. Dr. Jelly, what's up? Because me and Kings are not going to agree on
Yeah,
this one.
I would agree with what you're saying, host, in terms of Mercedes builds cars, but every other team in F1 tries to build the driver and improve in the driver. Hence the reason why George Russell, when he went to Mercedes, he struggled the first couple of races because the car wasn't tuned to him
Really?
as a driver.
Really?
Because he was used to driving the other car for the team that he was racing before he went to Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But what we have to
Oh, no, Kiss, let me
remember
finish.
with hang on, what we have to remember with George Russell is that he's a very adaptive driver. Like if he hadn't gone to Mercedes and say, for example, he'd gone to Ferrari, for example, right? He would have driven for Ferrari with the same ambition and drive that he drove for Mercedes last season. He would have done the same thing in the same way, and the car would have been attuned to his driving style. Each driver has their own driving style. Like if you look at Hamilton compared to Verstappen, or compared to Russell, compared to Bottas, or compared to Zhou Guan Yu or any other driver on the circuit, they all have their own driving style and their own attunement to the car, the way that they feel the car. They're very in depth with the car. That's how they drive, because they have to, because the car is basically molded to their physique in such a way that the slightest wrong turn at the wrong time, boom, the car goes off the track. They've crashed the car, and there goes another 250,000 pounds of a brand new chassis down the toilet, right? So what we have to remember is that the new every driver on the circuit started off as a rookie driver in F3 or go karts, F3, all that, right, and built their way up to driving the ultimate car racing at the top of its sport is F1. That's where every single driver wants to aim for. And if you think that is any different, you're mistaken. Every driver in the history of F1 has always aimed to be world champion, since Ayrton Senna, since Nigel Mansell, since everybody has always aimed to be world champion and number one for the team that they're driving. And even if you ask Nigel Mansell or any of David Coulthard or anything like that, they will always tell you that they drove in a particular way that suited them. If you compare Hamilton and Verstappen when they had that big, like the season before last, when we had all that controversy with regards to it was stolen and blah blah blah, right? If you look at those particular races where it was exciting and it was in depth, and the driving styles were so different between Hamilton and Verstappen, but somehow Verstappen always managed to get the slight upper hand with regards to an overtake, or narrowly undercutting it on a corner or something like that to go slightly quicker.
I think
When we look at last season,
we're digressing a bit.
well, hang on,
We're
let me
digressing a
finish.
bit.
But when we look at last season, right, and they changed all the rules and everything like that, the driving style of all the drivers kind of like mellowed down slightly. It wasn't as aggressive. It wasn't as
Because the moves were illegal. They were
toe to
illegal
toe.
moves. That's why they had to change them. They were illegal moves.
No. It wasn't. It's nothing to do with illegal moves. There's no
They were illegal moves. Anybody who has
illegality.
driven in karting to Formula 3, Formula 2, those are the things you teach them not to do in driving. The only reason why
Look,
it was allowed, it was because it was Max, and they had to change it.
Hang on a second. There's a big difference between go-karting and F1. Let's just get
Yes,
that
there
out
is a big
the
difference.
window,
I'm
right?
telling you,
There's a big
the
difference.
kind of move
Okay.
that Max
So,
Verstappen got away with last
here's the thing, right?
last 2 years
No.
rather.
Hang on.
You don't do that.
There's
Here's
differences,
the
but
thing.
You don't do that.
but
Here's
the
the thing.
ethicate,
You cannot tell an F1 driver, do not go aggressive against another
There
driver
is
when it's their
aggressive
world
and there is
championship
illegal
on the
move.
line.
There is aggressive and there's illegal move.
It's not. It was no. There was no illegal move.
Oh, really?
There was no illegal move. Okay, Verstappen won fair and square.
Okay. We
Mercedes
understand now where
supporters
you're coming
have
from.
been
So if they were not illegal move, why did they
hold on,
change
Kings.
the
Kings,
rules?
let him finish. Kings, let
Why
him
did they
finish.
change the rules if
What
they're
were
not
you
illegal
okay,
moves?
hold on, Kings, let him finish. Go on. What you saying? What you saying, Dr. Jelly? About Mercedes?
Let me just finish my final point. Okay. Because what we have to realize is that obviously F1 has changed throughout the centuries, decades that it's been going, and a lot of these safety features that we have now are really, really good. The streamlining is really, really good. The technology is there.
I'm
It's really,
confused.
really good.
I'm trying to figure.
Right?
I'm trying to understand the point you're trying to make, and I don't know because you're speaking about three, four, five different things at the same time. I'm not following
Sorry.
your chain of thought.
We're
Honestly,
talking about
I'm not.
Alonso and why he went to
I'm
Aston
not
Martin.
following I'm not following
what I'm what I'm
your
what
chain
I'm
of
trying
thought there.
what I'm trying to say I mean I suppose my point is that I was agreeing with you with regards to Mercedes when you said that Mercedes build cars whereas
Yeah.
all the other teams build the driver. I was agreeing with you with regards to that because
Hmm.
a lot of these smaller teams don't have as much money as the bigger teams. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, they get millions, whereas all the other teams get a lot less money to
Well,
It's
work
the
no,
with.
they
same
have the same
money.
amount
It's
to
the same
spend.
money to spend.
They
You
have the
can't
same amount to
overspend
spend
anymore in
now.
F1. They spend the same amount of money.
Well,
Well, what?
is it really? Is it?
Yes, it is. You can't overspend. That is
Well,
why the budget
when
cap is there. You can't
but
overspend. Even if you have the money, you can spend
but
it.
but hang on a second, right? If you put an Alfa Romeo against the Red Bull car, say like I don't know because they don't really make like commercial cars, do they? But if you put an Alfa Romeo against a Ferrari, like I would imagine it would be toe to toe, right? It would be equal. The Ferrari would be slightly faster, but it would be equal pegging in a straight race, right? So if all the teams are getting the
Huh?
same money, why are we not seeing the Alfa Romeos, the Aston Martins,
It doesn't
the
work like that,
yeah,
Rick. It doesn't
the
work
It
like
Ferrari?
that.
doesn't work like that.
But
That's not because you
what do you
Because
mean
say
you
it
the
have
doesn't
the
same
work
same
like
money.
I
that?
money, it
think
doesn't mean you
No, no, no.
invested
But
can
them the
we
same way.
can we just start with the idea of different technology
Exactly.
because
Look,
everyone still needs to protect their technology. You
you
don't just hand it
you
over
give
to the
no, no,
other
no.
but
guy.
Look,
you just said
look.
that they're all getting the same amount of money. So if they're all
Those
getting the same
those
Yes,
amount of
they
money,
have
they're
they
all on the
have the
same
same
playing
amount of
field.
money, but they still have different technology. You can't just go build a Mercedes
Just
car.
because you have the same money
You
doesn't mean you invested them the same way or in the
you
same
don't have the
a
same
product.
Ferrari
resources.
engine,
You don't have
a
the same
Ferrari
resources.
engine
You
is a
don't have the
Ferrari
same
engine.
manpower.
Exactly. You don't
You
have the
don't
same
have the
R
same
and D's.
infrastructure.
Yes. It's not the same
That's
thing.
not
It
not
doesn't mean you have
because
the same
that's not how
money,
it works.
therefore you do the same thing.
That's not
But
how
And
it
sure,
works,
the
man.
but
and
surely
the
we
other
should.
the other thing we're not talking about the experience, the wealth of knowledge that this brand have. Mercedes, they've got a lot of proprietary knowledge that they don't have to pay for. So even if you give them 150 million pounds each and they go home and you ask them to build something, they have different resources.
Exactly.
And this other thing you mentioned about you can ask a driver not to be aggressive. And I'm just going to say this: Formula One car is not same as driving a regular car. But for everyone who is ever driven a regular car, when you approach a corner, you have to pick your braking point. And if you pick your breaking point at 50 meters and I decide to pick mine at 35, cutting it close, when we approach that apex, you're going to struggle. And you can't just expect me to get out of the way. And that's what Max did
Okay,
all day long.
Let's not
So
even
look.
have this
let me
conversation
just
about
finish.
mass.
Let me
You
just
know,
finish, please. Let
Sorry, guys. I'm not going to go into the conversation of how Max drives and all of this and all of that. We already know what that is. We're not going to try and yeah. We're not going there. Let's move on from that. I'm done with that conversation. Please, let's go somewhere. Who's this guy? What's this? Common Parts Queen. I'll give you the mic.
Hello.
Hello. Good night.
So I guess maybe I came into this space a little bit late because I'm seeing the title is not necessarily what we're talking about.
Oh no,
I
that
actually
is
don't
it
know
covers that
if
as well. You can go into that if you want.
awesome. So then I just wanted to quickly segue into something a little bit different.
Go on.
Um, Obviously now we've seen. I'm assuming. I shouldn't assume, but I'm guessing most people have seen. I think the FIA put out a statement doubling down on their ban, so to speak, on like political things and stuff like that. I'm just curious. I've seen a lot of drivers come out over the past couple of weeks and say, we don't agree with this and we don't necessarily understand why. So I'm curious if anybody thinks that at some point, if enough drivers start speaking out, or if all the drivers start speaking out, do you think that the FIA will kind of go backwards on that decision, or do you think they'll just say,
Nah,
"Oh well, we'll have
they're
to
not
stick
going to
with
go
it"?
backwards. They're not going to go
No,
backwards because
I would
because
agree. I don't think they will.
because Ben Sulayem already stated last year that, pardon me, he wants F1 to be in some ways aligned with the principles of FIFA, because this, what he's saying here, this rule, even though it's been around for a while, it's basically, it's similar to what happens with FIFA when it comes to international tournaments and so on. You're not allowed to do any form of anything like that. It's just strictly forbidden because, but the thing is, what the statement that they put out today, they've not actually defined what is a political statement. So if Lewis, and in the Autosports article, they said if Lewis were to turn up to Qatar in the helmet that he took wearing to Qatar in 2021, he could get in trouble. But then the question is, what if he just likes that color? How are you going to say he's making a political statement? And how is advocating for human rights and so on political? It's not a political statement. Who defines what's a political statement? Because they've now basically said, we get to define what that is. So, but they're not going to go back. It doesn't matter how many drivers come out and say anything, they're not going to go back. And in truth, this isn't aimed at the 20 drivers on the grid. It's aimed at one driver, because the other 19 guys really don't give two shits, and they've never demonstrated that they really give two shits about anything that is going on. Sure, they took the knee in 2020, but did they really believe in what they were standing up for, or they just felt like, okay, we're just gonna. Granted, yes, you show your moral support to Lewis, but do you actually agree with it, with what he was talking about? Do you actually believe in it? So I don't think it's a targeted sort of thing, because it's kind of odd that the statement comes out 24 hours after Lewis said, "No, you're not going to shut me up. I'm going to still speak, and if you want to ban me for a race, then you're going to have to ban me for a race." So
I
it's
find it
clear it's clear that this is about Lewis Hamilton, just like the whole jewelry thing
I don't
was
think it's
about
about
Lewis
Lewis
Hamilton.
Hamilton. I'm sorry,
I
but
find it
No, it is
interesting that
about
that's
Lewis
Vettel
just
also
Hamilton.
ridiculous to
leaves.
say that.
Vettel
It's
also
not. It's not
leaves,
about
and they
Lewis
So
Hamilton.
who?
Can you
Okay,
just
so
mute
it's
who?
got
this
to be
guy,
about
please? I
drivers who
don't,
speak up.
No. I'm not.
because the
No,
conversation will always
I'm trying.
digress from there. So we have to start.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind. I
Then it
don't mind
becomes
the debate.
it
He
becomes
says it.
a
He said
circus. It's,
no. Hold on. No. He said it's not about Lewis Hamilton. So who is it about, Dr. Jelly?
I think because of all the political things that are going on at the moment with regards to, like, there's a lot of things going on in America, and there's obviously like this thing, the war in Ukraine and stuff like that, and obviously with the Qatar Grand Prix being the first one, and with their LGBTQ plus kind of views that they have in that country, which is their country. I think
So
I think
I get what you're
when
trying to
it
say.
comes,
I get what you're
but
trying to say. But my next question to you is: of all the 19, who on that grid is the more vocal about issues that are affecting society and various countries around
minorities,
the world?
not just
I
the
think I think they're I
Minorities, yeah.
think they're all equally
You're not
Who?
watching
vocal.
the sport then.
How? Okay. Can you demonstrate to me where the other 19, remove Lewis Hamilton from the equation, where the other 19 guys have actually done and said anything?
And Vettel doesn't count
No, he's
because
no longer in the sport.
interestingly, after he retired, they
Vettel
wanted to
doesn't count because
throw that
Vettel
ban.
protests. Vettel piggyback off what Lewis
He's
was
not.
doing.
He's no longer
Vettel
in the
didn't
sport
start this.
anyway. So
Yeah, he's not in the
Exactly. So he
sport. Vettel
doesn't. I'm
didn't
just saying
start this
he
thing.
shouldn't
Yeah,
be
But
answered because he
I
doesn't
think
count.
look, okay, back. Here's my thing. Okay, back in the 80s.
we're
No.
not
We're not.
going
No, we're
that
not.
No,
We're
no,
not
far.
doing.
hang on,
What
We're
are
hang
not
on,
you
doing.
hang on,
doing in
No,
the
hang on.
we're not
80s,
doing a
man?
history.
Let me just say this. Let me just
Kingsley,
say
hold on.
this.
We're not doing a history
What are you
lesson
doing
here.
in
No,
the
no,
No,
no.
80s?
But this is important. This is
No,
I told
Dr.
important.
you it's a
Jelly. No,
circus.
it's not important, Dr. Jelly, to the question I've asked you. You said it's equally important to the other 19 drivers. I'm asking you to provide me evidence where these guys have shown, without being pushed or feeling that, by someone else, that they could stand up for someone who's facing some form of tyranny, or in their everyday life in a country, or
Okay, I
being
think
part of
I think
a
I think
group
there
of
are
people,
several.
or so on.
Okay, there are several drivers, George
Who?
Russell and other drivers
Like
that
who?
that
George,
support.
but where has George
Hang on, let me
demonstrate?
finish.
Because
You asked me the question. Let me answer the
yeah,
question.
no, but you've not given me a
Give
proper
it
answer, because
generic.
you're
You
saying
haven't
like
let me
George.
finish my answer.
Okay, go on. I'll let you finish.
Okay, there are several drivers, George Russell including, and other drivers. I can't remember the list of them. There's probably at least like 4 or 5 of them that do environmental support environmental
No,
causes.
no,
That's
Hang on, hang on,
no, but
hang
environmental.
no,
on. Wait,
no.
wait,
I'm not
wait.
gonna let you spread misinformation. That's not true. That's not true.
I watched the interview myself last
What
season when
interview?
they were talking about introducing green fuel to F1,
What?
and the drivers were in
Okay. That's a
support of it.
Formula One thing.
What?
That's Formula One thing. That's a mandated thing by the sports governing body. We're talking about where drivers, on their own accord, decides that I'm going to stand up for somebody who's less fortunate than
Who's
myself, who's facing
marginalized?
exactly, who's being marginalized by their sexual orientation, the color of their skin, or whatever it is.
But why do they have to?
Okay,
No, you
that
not answer.
answers
No,
it.
you don't answer. You don't answer a question with a question. I'm asking you a question. You said other nine. There's 9 other guys on the grid who does that, and I'm asking you who are those drivers. You said George Russell. That's not true. So who's the other drivers? You've
There
then
are
gone
no
into
other
talking about
driver.
you've gone into talking about sustainable fuel, when
We're
again
talking about human rights.
that doesn't that doesn't make any sense, because that's completely outside of what we're discussing. So you've not actually
Well,
got any
how's it
point. So when
outside of
I
what
say
we're discussing? It makes it
so you
safer for F1 and safer
how
for
how
the
does it make it
public.
safer for F1? How is F1 being
It is
threatened?
not a single effort, but that's not even the point I was trying to get.
No, Kingsley. But no, let me answer the question. How is F1? How you say it's making it safer for F1? Who's threatening Formula One? Formula One in 2021, Formula One raced in Jeddah when they were bombing Aramco oil fields, no more than probably what 10 miles away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, explain to me how you're talking about this makes it safer for Formula One, because Formula One didn't give a damn that they
So
were
so
bombing
what
oil
so what
fields.
is F1 supposed to do? Not go to Jeddah because they're bombing one another?
No, that's not the point. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you drivers have a platform in which they've got millions of followers around the world, millions who are also from marginalized groups. And it would be nice and to see someone of their standings in society standing up and say, "Yo, how are you treating these people? It's not fair." And I think you as a country, you as a nation or whatever it is, can do better, and you should do better. Silencing these drivers is basically you saying, well, we don't really give a shit about what's happening to these marginalized groups, yet, but we'll be happy to come into your country and race
But then
to
they're not
entertain it and then go
politicians.
away.
They're not
Sorry?
politicians. They're not
But
politicians.
this is
They're
not
race
it
drivers.
politics.
is.
This
It
is not
is.
politics.
They're
Do you
there to do their job, drive
no,
around
no,
the
no, no,
track
no, no,
and
no,
get
no.
paid for it. That's
This is
their
not
job.
politics. This if you want to separate politics from Formula One, then you shouldn't have politicians coming to Formula One handing out trophies. You shouldn't have Vladimir Putin turning up to the Russian Grand Prix handing out trophies. You shouldn't have
They didn't
politicians
have a Russian Grand
involved.
Prix.
Oh God,
Oh
Thanos, are
my
we
fucking!
actually doing this?
I think you need to
Yeah,
drop
you
that,
have to
man,
drop
because
it, please. It's not
I
arguing
think
in
you're
good
out.
faith.
They
This is
didn't
just
have a Russian
I
nonsense,
Grand
think
man.
you're
Prix.
out. I think you're out of your depth
It is
with
just
this one.
nonsense. We are making it a suckers
No,
of
You're
because
out of
ourselves.
your
when
depth.
you make sport political,
Sport is politics.
it's not.
You cannot
It's
Sport is a
totally
separate. You
not.
part
can
of
Uh,
life,
look.
and
You
life is
cannot
political,
separate
whether you
Thanos,
want to
politics from
say it
sports.
or not.
Because
Lewis
hold on,
Hamilton is the first
because for
black
Formula
driver
One
in
to
Formula
race,
One, and you're telling me that it's not
Thanos, the
political?
guy knows
Everything as a
what
black
he's
person in this world
doing.
is
hold on, Kingsley.
based on
For Formula
politics.
One
What are you
to
talking
race,
about, dude?
in countries, they have to deal with politicians. Sport politics is in every facet of society. You think
It is embedded in sport,
you
whether you like
cannot
it or
say
not.
sports, and you cannot separate sports from politics. They're intertwined.
That's fine that you say that, but I don't agree with politics being in sport.
But
I
you
think
cannot separate it. You cannot take it out of it. It's
you
part of the
can.
sport. No, you
You
cannot.
can.
You
The
cannot. You
the
cannot
the
host.
the
You
the,
How
F,
cannot host.
the
exactly? How
FIA the
exactly do you
FIA has a
intend to
certain
do
set
that?
of
How you do that?
rules.
Tell me how you do that. Yes,
Okay,
good question.
the FIA has a certain set of rules that the drivers have to abide by with regards to when they drive on the track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it goes the same with regards to the country that they're in. They have to abide by the laws of those countries.
But they're not
If they
breaking any laws.
if they
They're
go
not
to
breaking any
America,
laws.
no,
They're
but
not breaking any
hang
laws.
on a second. Hang on a second. If they go to America, where they drive in Texas, right? The track in Texas, where they go, Austin, Texas, every single season,
Yes.
right? And a driver is driving in their own personal car, driving on the highway, and they speed, they're going to get pulled over. They're going to get treated the same as every single citizen in the United States with regards to the speeding laws in
Apples
America,
and oranges.
right?
You're not comparing
Okay.
same thing.
Hold on. Let me see.
It's
Let me
not
see. Let
making
me
any
turn.
sense.
So
Kingsley,
they have.
come on. Let's give him enough rope, man. Let's give him enough rope. Carry on.
You're not giving me a rope, mate. I'm making my point.
I'm giving you enough rope.
If
Go
I
on,
was
carry
the
on.
moderator, if I was
Okay,
a
I like
Kingsley,
co-host,
skipping as
if I
much
was
as
a
the next
co-host,
person.
Kingsley,
I would drop this guy a long time ago.
Kingsley, I'm giving him enough rope. Come on, I'm giving him enough rope. Carry on.
I like skipping as much as the next person. Okay, so
Yeah.
but here's my thing: when you add politics into sport, it takes away the value of the sport.
How?
Because it becomes less about the sport and more about the political
How
views of
does
the
it become less
drivers.
about the sport? Because
it takes the focus away from what you are meant to be watching.
No, it doesn't.
I don't want to be watching
So
drivers
Lewis
talking about their
Hamilton wearing
political
a
views.
rainbow
But then if you
helmet took
don't
away
want to
from the
watch,
race?
turn your TV off.
I'm
Then
gonna
it's
still
not
get up
for
and
you.
watch the
But I do
races,
want to watch. But
regardless
I
of
don't
what
want
they're
to watch
saying.
drivers talk about their political views. That's
Why
none of my
not?
business.
Why not?
Oh, God.
But I don't
Why
care
not?
about their political views.
But
The
they're
same way they don't care about mine.
They're not telling you that they're either Tory, Labour, or Lib
No,
Dem. They're
he's in
talking
America.
about
He's
the
thinking
equal,
Republicans and
the fair
Democrats.
treatment of a marginalized group. That's not their
when Lewis
politics.
Hamilton turns up at the track and he's got a BLM T-shirt on,
That's
what's
his
that saying
problem.
to
Okay, that's your
everybody else?
problem.
That he supports BLM.
Hold on. He's
Okay, that's a
advocating for.
political statement
No,
right
that's
there.
No, you're talking
You should
about.
have started from here since at the time of this is
He just
Well,
told you the truth right there.
exactly. He just
He
told you
just
what
yeah,
his
told
He
you the
problem is.
truth
supported
right
You
there.
BLM
can't
right
be.
there.
Okay.
dude. Come on, what did I just say to you? I'm giving him enough rope.
No, he's not.
I'm giving him more
He's
rope
just
to
turning the
himself because
space
that's
So,
into a
literally what he's doing.
circus. Let's discuss Formula One,
Kingsley,
please.
He's a shut up and dribble type of guy. So can we move on from this, please?
Yeah. I
Because
think
he's not
Kingsley,
going to bring anything to
He's
Dr.
the
not
Jelly is
table.
that
bringing anything meaningful to the
So
conversation. Can you not see it?
Dr.
Can
Jelly
I
is that
finish?
guy. Dr. Jelly is that guy. When he said Black Lives Matter, he says all lives matter. Or what?
Yeah,
What
he
about
wants
white
yeah.
No,
lives?
I wasn't going to
So,
say
Yeah.
all lives matter. That's not what I'm saying.
Kingsley, I'm
What
gonna
I'm
say
trying to.
this to Dr. Jelly. Dr. Jelly,
Yeah, I just
this is what
removed him from the
Let's
stage,
just
man.
get the guy out of here.
I can't
This
deal with this
circus.
dude. This dude has no God.
Dr.
He's an
Jelly,
absolute idiot. He's
you
gone.
think what
Yeah,
F1
take
has
him out,
done is not
please.
about
He's
one
not
guy.
supposed to be here.
If you
I just
think
removed
what
him.
F1 has done is not about one guy, which is Lewis Hamilton, explain to me why this was all about juries to begin with. Whereas all the female drivers in motor racing are all wearing herrings, but they don't have a problem with that. But they came after this guy for wearing juries. So it
Look,
moved from juries, and you can't say someone who is black,
all juries matter.
someone who is black,
I think
you know.
you give him too much space there because
Yeah,
he was
but
dissolving to his cycles. He
you
was never
know
arguing a
what?
good faith, for example. So
I just wanted
it
to hear
was
what he
not
had
kind
to
of
say
making any
because
sense.
dude, don't stop sending requests, man. I'm not letting you back in my
No, he
space,
doesn't.
Dr. Jelly. So
Yeah, he should just
you might as well just
go
cancel that.
and
You're not
join
coming back in here, man.
the clan group.
I have no time for people with your
You're late for your
sort of thinking,
meetings.
man. That's just crazy, man.
This
Because
is the thing. They worry so
I don't think
much
he, I
How
don't think
about
he actually watches
how
Formula
is
One.
Lewis advocating for fundamental human rights, political, for example? He has a platform. He can speak on those things, and the leadership of this country will hear them. So how is that political, for example?
And the funny thing is, he's talking about, I don't want to see that when I'm watching my
Yeah,
sport.
like
Like, dude,
are you this
like he
owner of
uses
sport?
what?
you're seeing it for like 10 for like a minute. The race lasts 2 hours. So you're telling me 1
No, the
minute
moment he
of seeing
went
someone's
Black Lives
claim,
Matter
you know,
thing, that was when I knew this was his game
That
plan.
was what it
yeah, I
was
mean,
all about.
It was all about that.
he was,
And
but that's
and
why I
this is
said
my
give
this
him.
is
I'm
this is
giving
my
him room.
thing though. This is my thing, guys. Imagine if a driver is from Uganda, right? Very, very good racing driver, won couple of championship, and at some point, this guy is saying to us, like, listen, there are lots of illegal poaching in my home
You
country,
can't say
and
that.
before you
Yes.
know it, and
Yes.
you're saying you don't
No, you
want that
can't
kind of
say that because
statement.
it's political. Because your government doesn't want you to say that. Therefore, you can't say it. If somebody is making a point in
Man,
good
look,
faith, you
man,
can
look, man.
actually
I
advise
sh-
him.
we need all Formula One drivers to be Jamaican, so we can tell Ben Suleiman, hey, Ben, Gus, come on now.
No, Ben Sulayem is out of his depth. He doesn't. But
With it, every time we see Ben Suleiman, we just run up on him and like,
Did you
come here.
guys remember when Lewis Hamilton, I think he hugged Vladimir Putin a little bit too tight, and he gave him the look?
Hmm.
And this guy is
Yeah,
telling me
no,
Russia
no, no.
never,
I don't even.
Polit-
That's even
politics,
too far.
politics and sport
They are
is
they are
intertwined.
intertwined. You can't
You
separate.
cannot separate. You cannot separate them because for the IOC to host this Olympic in whichever country it goes, the government has to get involved. The government,
Yes.
it's kind of like whoever puts
The
forth the
infrastructure you are
presentation.
building to do it, the
It's
government builds
political.
those infrastructure, for example. So you
Exactly,
can't
the
just
government
say you separate them.
funds it. So
Yeah.
to say they're not the same. And again, what do you define as political views? He's not. It's not like they're turning up and saying, "Oh, vote Labour,
Exactly.
vote Lib Dem,
Exactly.
or vote Trump, vote Biden." No, they're talking about the fundamental rights of a
Marginalized persons.
marginalized group of people, and asking for, you know what, deal with these people better. They're not. They're part of society. Treat them like they're part of society. Don't treat them like outcasts, right? That's
Wait,
not political.
I'm going to.
You're not
yeah, but
advocate.
you
You're
know the
not
funniest
asking
thing
for a
though.
government to be overthrown. So to
You know the
so to
funniest thing.
but the
You know the
but the
funniest
FI,
thing.
hold on, but the FIA have left themselves in a position now where
Mhm.
basically they get to define what's political
And
views. That's the
no, no,
biggest
no.
problem of
It's
it
not.
all.
I can see what's happening here. It's going to go the way of the jury thing, because at some point, Lewis is going to stand up and make a statement about a marginalized group in, say, Qatar, for example, or Saudi Arabia, and then it will now become of the sport, FIA as it were, to make a decision on what punishment they want to give him. Now, then,
But they said, but in the other sport article, it mentioned if he was to wear that Qatar
mhm,
helmet in Qatar
mhm,
again, he's gonna need permission.
yeah,
He's gonna need permission to wear it because he's gonna be breaking the rules. And I'm thinking, what if he just likes those colors?
yeah. But Sulayem, he's out of his depth already.
Hey, I was just gonna say, people like this, Dr. Jelly, they
He's,
don't
he's
have
not even. He's
problem.
even a doctor.
I just want to
I
say
can
they
imagine
don't
the
have
people that
problem.
come to his
They
hospital.
they don't have problems
His
with
bio,
him
I read his
praying
bio in his, I read his bio and he said
something
his
about
bio
two
said something
genders
about
and two
God and his
genders. I saw
whatever,
it.
and like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you kind of know those dude was
yeah.
coming.
and that's what I was
The
gonna
rednecks
say.
are out to them.
They don't have problem. They don't have problem praying at every sports event, and
Yeah.
singing the national anthem.
Mm.
But when it comes to fundamental human right, say if someone wants to be addressed as them or he or she, how is that your problem? Just let it go. No, they want to control
Look, man,
everything.
It's not even.
look, man,
I think
Dr.
he
Jelly's
was
a
he was
cracker,
in the
man.
wrong space. He didn't know where he was. So
I don't think he's ever watched a Formula One race.
Yeah, I think the
Genuinely, I think
moment
he
he
just
talked
we
about
sees
we're
someone
talking
Vladimir
about
amusing.
Putin.
Alonso, and then he went to who? What was that guy's name? I don't even know where he was. He was going to
I
1980 or
didn't.
somewhere around that period.
I mean, man, ready to give us a history lesson, and I can guarantee you, he failed history in school.
Yeah, he takes this career. He knows a lot.
He's gonna give
Uh,
us a history
Oh my
lesson
god.
while failing
He,
history in
he,
school.
he
I
says
don't need a
he
history
says
lesson from you, dude.
there's no wrong move in F1. You can drive
It's the
anyhow you
fun.
want.
No, that's not the funny one. The funny one was when he talk about you go in America, you're driving on
On
the
the highway,
highway and you
yeah. He wants to
speed.
compare
Like
speed
I
limits.
didn't know from
Yes, that
okay,
as a
what
political
really?
statement. Speed limits as a
Yeah,
political
yeah,
statement.
okay.
Oh God.
You crack up,
It's
man. But
we've
anyway,
stayed too long
anyway, guys.
enough.
Yeah,
Well,
I
he,
think
he
Susie, we
got he
need to.
got me for a second though. He got me when he started talking about no wrong moves in Formula One. I
No,
lost
he
it a
said
little bit after
the
that.
part that got me was where he said Mars always got a little bit over Lewis. I'm like, oh God, I'm
Well,
going to die tonight.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
yeah,
anyway,
I
guys, I think
I
Kingsley, I think I'm gonna call it a night now. We've been here for a very
we've been
long
here for
time.
a while.
Too long.
mhm.
Well, God, yeah, we're coming up to nearly
Oh
4 hours.
wow, that was long. And it was
We
it
talked,
seems short
we
too.
talk too much. Yeah, I'm gonna start limit my space to 1 hour.
No,
Anything
we
over,
can't cover everything in 1 hour. You know that.
okay. Oh my God, I have to let my brethren in. I have to get NK.
Oh,
Sorry.
NK's here.
Yeah.
Oh God.
If we, next time, I'm gonna limit my space to 1 hour. If I go over an hour, you guys have to pay me for every word that,
Yeah,
every
you
letter
have
that
to.
comes out, every syllable. And I'm talking about, I want £100 for every syllable.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
get it.
I'll kiss the
NK didn't
people.
come around when
I,
Doctor whatever was here. So
Doctor
NK, my
Jeb,
brother.
Doctor
I
Jebby.
just I just jumped onto the space right now, right?
oh wow.
And I just wanna close it off by saying, fuck Muhammad bin Al fucking piece of shit. Sulayam, my fucking political fucking shit. Whoever the fuck he thinks he is, okay. I'm done. I just realized
Thanos,
I missed an
you
entire space.
you have to
And
bleep.
the least I can do is just hop on and say MBS is a fucking piece of shit. I'm done, right? In the space, Thanos.
NK, NK,
Yeah,
you know what? You're gonna get me banned from
no,
Twitter. Seriously, dude. Come on, don't get me banned, man. 'Cause
the bleep machine can't even keep up with NK. So
NK, please try and keep me back on. Keep me on
And
Twitter,
that's
please.
Sky F1, not what Martin Brundle.
Disclaimer,
Uh,
disclaimer,
yeah, not that
disclaimer.
Martin
The
Brundle
views.
piece of shit.
the host
So
doesn't
the other
support
guy
this language.
asked
Yeah,
Lewis.
disclaimer. This is not the views of the
Yes,
host.
He
this is not
asked Lewis, right? On I've watched the interview on YouTube, right?
okay.
And like Lewis says, I'm not stopping
Yeah,
with this political shit. Like, this is my right as a fucking seventh. Well, that's not what he said, but that's what I'm saying to MBS, right?
yeah. The
That
MBS was
fucking
triggered
bin,
the moment he heard
fucking
Lewis.
bin.
He's triggered. Yeah,
Yeah. And he says, there's no
Lewis
way.
needs to start put that Naito to use, man. He needs to start put that Naito to use and like, yo,
it's the
But
same thing
I'm
with
the
the
Knight of the
it's the same
Realm.
thing with the earring or whatever it was. So he Lewis speaks. The guy's triggered. He comes back to say something. Every other driver, I remember it was Lando Norris talked about it. Which other driver talked about it? Everyone they were. George
George
talked
said it
about it.
as
They were
well.
talking about it when they did their.
Stefano
Even
Dominicali
came
even
out and said that's not going to
said,
happen.
even though I don't believe a
You
word
didn't
he
believe
said,
him.
he
And
came out
then
and he said
Lewis
something.
comes out and say, I'm going to say what I've been saying. And then he has to come and say, you know what? This is I am the president of the FIA, therefore you have to do it. It's crazy, honestly. It's
No,
just,
Ben,
He's not. I mean,
yeah.
he's a one-term president. He's not getting
I,
another
I
I
term.
don't,
agree
I
with you,
can't see
Thanos.
him.
Eh? He's
Yeah, you.
he's been FIA, Mohammed bin FIA, ex-president of Formula One.
I
I mean, because he's been. You remember, he tried on multiple occasions to be elected president, but
yeah,
John Todd kept beating him. And I think because Todd decided he wasn't going to run again, they basically,
just handed it over to him. I don't even
pretty
think
much.
he will complete his term.
Well,
No, he
I
will,
don't know.
but like it will be like one of those. You know,
We'll see.
it's like Lewis and Ben, and Ben's been a Mohammed bin whatever the fuck I think I am, whoever the fuck I am, whatever. No one gives a shit about you. Like, yeah, that's just how I see it.
He just want to be
He's a
popular.
nobody, man. He's a piece of shit who I don't even know how the fuck he made it up to the upper echelon
He
of
wants
like
to be
Formula.
trending too, like Lewis. He wants to trend, so he has
Yeah.
to attach himself to Lewis Cocktail so that he can actually still come on.
The
It's,
only thing he can do to gain himself some popularity is wear those Super Mario boots that everyone's wearing. Like, other than that, like he ain't shit, man. Like, Ben, go fucking get a haircut, shave your beard, man. Like, what the fuck? Sorry. Okay,
you can
I'm
end this
gonna
place
I'm
now,
gonna leave it at
Thanos.
that. I'm
Thanos, you
logging
can end
off.
this place now. Nobody can compete with
And on
that. You
that,
have to end this.
and on that note, people, I think I'm going to end. I
You
need
have
to
to
go to
end
bed.
this race. My ribs are cracking up. I can't even
I'm,
end this race.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
I don't even see his tweet because they blocked me. So
Oh,
I don't know.
who's tweet? Who's tweet?
Ben.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
which Ben? Oh,
Ben
oh,
Slime.
I don't.
Yeah,
People are
because
blocked. I block.
I had this Red Bull picture with his head up the bull path, and I posted it. And this was after Abu Dhabi. I was a little bit, you know how we all felt at that time. I was
It
really
was
mad, and
justified. It
It
was
was
justified.
justified.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
If
yeah.
it's after Abu
So
Dhabi, it was justified.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
actually, you need to share that picture with me because I might need to use it one of these days, just in case. Just in case. But I'm gonna say it's yours. I'm not gonna take ownership of it. All right. Anyway, guys,
Wow.
Kingsley, nice chatting to you again, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
good
go.
man. Thanks. I appreciate the
I'm tired.
space. Thank you
We're
so
probably gonna. What is it?
Thursday.
Testing is next week,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
can't miss that
Yeah.
Thursday. After practice, no way.
Yeah.
That testing. I'm gonna come here and rant
I'm
about the W4.
remember. I'm in my office on Thursday, so but when I get in on Thursday, I'm definitely gonna. I think I'm gonna do one each day of test at the end of each day of testing.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So
That's fair
you,
enough. Yeah.
yeah, so you catch me next week Thursday. Because what? Hold on.
Unless
So
it's a breaking
testing
news.
is next. Testing is next week
Yeah,
Thursday,
Thursday, Friday,
Friday, and
Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday,
Yeah.
and then the following week
It's
after
Formula
that
One.
is the first
Yeah,
race.
the first race of the
Yeah, because
season. Yeah.
oh shit,
Yeah.
the first race is it's week is oh god, my daughter turns 18 on the second. Well, wish her all the best. I'm
Happy
gonna go watch
birthday.
the race. She'll be alright.
She'll be fine.
No, she'll be alright. She'll be alright. I'll go and watch the race. She'll be
No,
alright.
you
She'll
can't.
have
You
all the
can't do
birthdays.
that. You will have to go for the 18th birthday.
Nah, she'll be alright. I'm just messing about, man. I'm just messing about. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we catch up again on the next side. All right, take it easy,
Appreciate you,
everyone.
man.
I'll still be tweeting shit.
Cheers.
I'll be tweeting shit all week. You know where you can find me. All right, I'm out.